There we go, right there. So that's where the possible tornado would be. Jen, let's drag the map because we got this banner on, and that's there we go, sort of cutting off the bottom of the map. So that would be your possible tornado right there, that bright shade of green. That's right around Jeff Hamilton Road and Scott Dairy Loop. So this is far west Mobile. This is past Johnson Road. This is a way there. Here's Johnson Road right here. Scott Plantation subdivision would be right there. You've got Causey Middle School in that area, Dawes Intermediate in that area. Jeff Hamilton, of course, runs all the way up here toward parts of, it intersects with Cottage Hill Road. Cottage Hill, we know how busy that road is on any given day. So that runs up toward Snow, which runs up toward Sims. But everyone in this area needs to be in their safe place. All of the West Mobile neighborhoods need to be in their safe place. And everyone in Midtown and downtown, you need to do that too. Thankfully, you got a little time before that possible tornado will be rolling into your area. So according to the Weather Service, from what they have been able to pick up with this storm is tracking to the north and east, and it's moving at 50 miles an hour. It is moving fast. They picked up a storm that was capable of producing a tornado right over the Mobile Regional Airport. That's 6 miles northwest of Tillman's Corner, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So that is the reason why that polygon box has been drawn, and that's the reason why we are on the air with you, keeping up to date with this threat that we're seeing with this possible tornado in the area. So what we're going to do is stay with this. We're going to keep you updated. Jennifer, what have you seen right now from the Weather Service chat?
No updates from the National Weather Service chat. All that they told us really quickly was that they were going to be issuing this tornado warning literally about 15 seconds after we got off the air. And so we are starting to see that area of rotation just closer towards Jeff Hamilton Road. So really on the southwest side of Leroy Stevens. And this is also going to be on the west side there of Dawes. So if you are closer towards Dawes Road, 3 Notch Road, you're looking just a little bit better there. This rotation is going to be further away from you. But in case you are in the path of this system, really expecting it to push further towards the northeast. It's going to be approaching closer towards Mobile Regional Airport, Providence Hospital, Medal of Honor Park, crossing over Cottage Hill. This is going to be right in the central area of Mobile. So if you live closer towards Midtown, just make sure that you're staying updated. If you live closer towards Schillinger Road, keep updated. I would say, yeah.
Did we just see the same thing there? Yeah, it was there and then it's gone. What Jen had circled was the couplet that caused the tornado warning to be issued in the first place. Yeah, Jen's backing it up in time, so that's the timestamp. And then, yeah, then the 1202 sweep came in and it's just gone. But we're going to stay with this because that may be an error in the radar beam because that's odd for that thing to just be there and then just gone. But obviously we've still got a lot of lightning. We can go back to the reflectivity and let you just see how nasty the thunderstorm is that caused this tornado warning to be issued. It would be between Seven Hills and Dawes. Again, we're talking Jeff Hamilton Road area. So here's the squall line. Look at that lightning from Chinchula all the way down to Grand Bay. Here's the regional airport. That's where the radar is. That's why you have that donut hole. Here's Dawes, and the severe storms are producing massive amounts of heavy rain and lightning. Wind speeds with this showing up in excess of 60, 70 miles an hour. That's strong tropical storm force winds. Only one little sliver near the airport has been producing the possible tornado. But even if there's no tornado on the ground, you've just got a nasty batch of storms that's continuing to veer its way to the east and to the northeast, and you want to be extremely careful while that is on top of you. Now, once you're on the back edge of it, like our friends in Hurley and Big Point are, things are much calmer there. The severe threat isn't totally over for you in that section of Mississippi, but it's definitely done for a while because your air is stabilized as a result of this first big round of storms that's going to continue marching eastward. It should be to the I-65 corridor. Let's draw this out, Jennifer, if we can, from that squall line north and east, and let's put it at 50 miles per hour and just see what some of the estimated times are for arrival, especially for those of you watching us in Baldwin County, to see what the times of arrival are going to be for you. Jen's drawing out the tracker box, And here's a look at, and again, these are just estimates. It could end up getting there sooner or later, depending on whether this speeds up or not. Downtown Mobile, it would be to you at 12:15. Daphne, it's on top of you just before 12:30. Same for Fairhope. Then it would be to Loxley by 12:40, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it would be in eastern Baldwin County, right around Seminole. So this thing has significantly picked up. The Futurecast earlier today was showing that it would be well into 1 o'clock before we saw that line even moving into Alabama, much less the eastern end of Baldwin County. So we have seen a significant increase in speed from that line of rain and storms. We'll go back and try to find the rotation signature that caused that tornado warning to even be issued in the first place. We were picking it up around Jeff Hamilton Road near Johnson Road. That part of West Mobile was showing where the possible rotation was. We'll zoom in a little tighter. And you can see right now, and it may have something to do with being so close to the radar beam. So what we can do, Jen, is let's turn the Mobile radar off and see if it can pick up one of the other beams and see if it shows maybe a sign of rotation, because maybe being that close to the Mobile airport is causing a discrepancy. So there you go. There's a little something right there, the red and the green. This would be your possible tornado right there around the airport between Sims and Dawes. That would be your possible tornadic signature, and that's going to keep veering its way north and northeast at 50 miles an hour. So it has picked up speed from what it was looking like in Mississippi. In Mississippi, it was moving at, I believe, what was it, Jennifer, 25, 30 miles an hour? Yeah, now it's going 50, 55 miles an hour. That's the reason why the time projections have been totally thrown off with this, and the reason why we were on the air. But that sign of rotation, literally when we signed off Fox 10 midday, Jennifer mentioned, hey, the Weather Service just issued a tornado warning, and we came right back on the air. What she's doing is backing up the time. That's the time display.
I would say it's over Mobile Airport. I think that's why we lost track of it, because it's right in that donut where we can't see.
Yeah, what do they call that? The cone of silence,
yep.
I think. Yeah. So if a storm cell is literally over a radar beam, you can't see it because it's blocked. Now, once it's away from this donut hole, you're going to see it popping back up again. Now, that means everyone at Medal of Honor Park, South Alabama, Heritage Woods, Davidson High School, here's Spring Hill. Here's Airport Boulevard. Gosh knows, we know how many people travel Airport Boulevard on a daily basis. You've got all these storms that are headed your way. So this is Airport Boulevard at Snow. Airport at Schillinger would be right there, and that's also a busy intersection. And then you go east, you got Providence Hospital. Here's Cottage Hill Road. Here's Airport Boulevard, Old Shell, and High Point here, and here's Pritchard. So this is all going to keep veering its way eastward. Sims, you are now underneath the heaviest band of storms. Snow Road, that's up where MGM High School is located. Now, Mobile County did not have school today, and this is the reason why we've seen schools either be canceled or will be dismissing early. And those of you in Baldwin County, Baldwin gets out when today, Jennifer?
12 o'clock, so they just let out.
They're getting out now, and it's perfect time because that line still has not gotten to Baldwin County yet, so they really timed that perfectly. But you got these big storms right now stretching from Chinchula to Dawes, right in the West Mobile area. This is the main line that was over Jackson County, Mississippi earlier. Now, for those of you on the eastern shore, I want to point out that Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope, you are not in the tornado warning. The tornado warning only includes locations up here around Gravine Island. It's this very sliver north of Spanish Fort that's in the tornado warning. But West Mobile, Midtown, downtown, Saraland is in the tornado warning, and everyone needs to be paying very close attention. What Jen just put up here is the possibilities of hail, and hail signatures could be massive right around Dawes right now. What size hail would that be with that dark shade of blue there, Jennifer, that we're seeing on the radar? I'm assuming that would be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, maybe even more than that.
Let's see. And I'm already receiving multiple reports. Yeah, on our Fox 10 Facebook Live, multiple reports of power outages closer towards West Mobile, and also many reports of hail from some of our local viewers.
So again, if you're just joining us, we're on the air because of a tornado warning that's in Mobile County. Meteorologist Michael White, along with meteorologist Jennifer Lambers. Meteorologist Nicholas Herboso is in the field. He's in the STORMtracker truck. Jason and Matt will be along later on today. And we're just going to continue staying with this and following this in real time. I just got a report of hail falling at the West Mobile Baptist Church from a Skywarn member, and we're staying in constant chat with the Weather Service in Mobile. They're letting us know what they think. So here's the line that we knew were going to produce severe thunderstorm warnings, but wasn't too sure whether or not they would be producing a tornado warning, and they are. So our television station's right here at McGowan Park. So where we are and where you're watching, you're likely going to be hearing the thunder and rain because it's going to be hitting our roof very hard, I'd say within the next 10 minutes. And this storm is just very massive with tons of lightning, tons of heavy rain, and it's continuing to track its way to the north and east. So Pritchard, downtown needs to be on standby. As far as the couplet, it was over the Mobile airport, but we might see it now near the USA campus when we pull it up because of the fact that now that main line is now east of where the radar beam is located. So we'll pull that up on the velocity display, and you can see it would be right about here is where we just had a flicker. Sometimes I hate being right in that instance, but we knew that lightning was close and we knew it was coming, and I'm sure you heard it, I heard it, and I knew it was coming, and it still spooked me because all the monitors just went dead up here on the weather wall for like 2 seconds. So right here over the USA campus, this is where your possible tornado is located. If there's no tornado on the ground, that is where you have the strongest, heaviest straight line wind. We're talking hurricane force winds in this part of Mobile. Anyone near the South Alabama campus, Old Shell Road, University Boulevard, Cottage Hill Road, anyone west of I-65 needs to be in shelter, in their safe place. Ziegler Boulevard, that's over by the grounds where the fairgrounds are located. Anyone that lives near there needs to be in shelter. And you definitely don't need to try to drive anywhere. You need to stay off the roads. It is too dangerous to do any sort of travel with the situation that we've got right now with that line of storms. And all of that is moving toward I-65. We just lost power at the station. We have a generator, so that generator should kick in within the next few seconds, and you'll see the lights coming back on magically. We certainly hope they do. So we'll just stay with you on the air. Here they come. So hooray for generators. So the generator at the TV station has just kicked in, but that means we've lost main power. That means that the power system we have here at the TV station is dead. So a huge chunk of the city of Mobile has now lost power as a result of these storms. We're thankful that we have a generator like hospitals do, but not everyone has that situation. So you need to be watching our live stream on your phone. You need to be continuing to watch the coverage as we follow these storms in real time. We'll go back to the radar and show you where the storms are if you're just joining us. So here's the line of storms producing heavy rain and a lot of lightning. And I mean, this is a dangerous squall line that's moving to the north and east at 55 miles an hour. It's already passed the Mobile Regional Airport. It's past the Dawes community, but it is now right over the heart of West Mobile. Midtown Mobile, you're next on the list. You're going to be the next ones to see this storm, as is anyone around Pritchard, 8 Mile, Tolmanville, McGowan Park. It's on the way. And when we had that lightning flash, the main line hasn't even gotten to us yet. That was just lightning popping, and the tornado warning has just changed because of a result of where the line of storms is. So here it is. It's at the South Alabama campus, and it's going to be working its way toward the Forest Hill community. It's going to continue tracking toward Pine Grove, Old Shell, Interstate 65, Midtown, downtown, Tolmanville, and it's moving at 50 miles an hour. So this thing is moving faster than expected. If you watched me this morning on Good Day Gulf Coast, I thought that line wasn't even going to hit Mobile County till 1 in the afternoon, and this thing has just sped up. And that's why we encourage you to always stay weather aware because of how quickly these things can change. So there's the tornado warning. It does include I-65 from Government Boulevard all the way up to exit 13 with Saraland High School. Saraland's out on spring break this week, so they have no school. Mobile County did not have school today. Gravine Island, Cloverleaf Landing are the only spots in Baldwin County that are in the tornado warning. Everyone else on the eastern shore is not. The entire Interstate 165 connector is located in this warning, and it's all from that line of storms that's tracking northeast and the risk of a possible tornado embedded inside that line. But I want to emphasize, even if a tornado is not on the ground, the straight line winds with this thing are massive, almost hurricane force, which means at your house, it's going to feel like a hurricane is literally blowing over it as a result of how powerful these wind speeds are. So Jen has pulled back up what's called the velocity display. The red color on this represents wind blowing away from the radar. Green is wind blowing to the radar. And when you see the two connected, that is a sign of rotation inside of a thunderstorm. When it's broad, that means the possibility of a tornado is a bit lower. But when you see it tight, the odds are higher. So I have not had reports from the Weather Service that there's been any confirmed tornado on the ground, but my money is on the fact that this is a major straight line wind threat that the Weather Service felt necessary. We got to issue a tornado warning because the wind speeds were getting up to dangerous hurricane force levels, which is why you need to make sure you are not driving, you're not outside, you're not trying to get pictures of this. You want to wait till that line is past you before doing anything outside. Well, go back to the reflectivity so you can see where the heaviest rain is falling, where the lightning's popping. Here comes a new scan. So we're now seeing the heaviest batch of rain and storms right around US 45. It's getting ready to move into Midtown. It's now right over McGowan Park, so it's right over the television station. It's at the 1065 junction. We know how busy and populated that is, and we have accidents in that part of the viewing area even on a clear day with dry roads, much less something like this. So hopefully everyone heeded the warnings and has stayed off of that. Shops at Bel Air, Airport Boulevard at exit 3. Exit 1, Government Boulevard, got heavy rain and storms. That's going to be approaching Lad People Stadium, going to be approaching the Oakley community. Here's downtown. Right now, downtown Mobile is fine, but look at that top left, the top right camera, where the camera's from Battleship Park, but we have it pointed to downtown Mobile. Jennifer, how ominous does that look, knowing that it's like you can literally see the line of storms getting ready to push into that part of the area? That's
exactly right. I'm going to pull it up in this full view too so that we can see that. Mainly just starting to see that shelf cloud as it pushes in. Oh, and it doesn't want to work. Maybe our producer or director can just take that full, again, that Battleship Memorial camera, that it does not look the prettiest out there. There you go. That's a look at that line of storms as it's continuing to push closer towards the eastern shore. So Daphne, Spanish Fort, Fairhope, Loxley, Robertsdale. Just a heads up that a lot of these are coming your way. We're starting to see some of those heavy showers and storms closer towards that area right now, but only expecting more of that to push in by the time we make it into early afternoon. So just make sure you're staying weather aware. The biggest thing we're monitoring is going to be those gusty straight line winds. Stay off the roadways at this time. It is really dangerous out there, especially with some of this just beginning to approach closer towards the Bayway and the Causeway. I know that we're getting into the lunchtime hour, so a lot of folks letting out from work right now to go grab something to eat. Not going to be the best time for that. Here's a look from our Admiral camera. Oh wow, you can really start to see that front line of the storms beginning to push through. Very quick moving, gusty winds, heavy downpours, very active with that thunder and that lightning, receiving multiple reports of power outages all throughout Mobile County. So again, heads up, Baldwin County, this is heading your way. Now is the time to prepare. Downtown Mobile, you'll begin to see this line of storms coming up soon. You can even start to see some of the lightning strikes as it's crossing over the port of Mobile there, just on the far left side of your camera. We'll continue to monitor. I do think that they're just going to continue this tornado warning solely for the fact of these gusty straight line winds. We've seen this before.
Yep.
And so we'll likely just continue to see this tornado warning continue to be issued.
And I also saw, Jen, they went ahead and issued a flash flood warning too. No surprise there, just because of how heavy the rain rates are with this storm. So if you live in a low-lying or flood-prone zone, that's going to be another problem. And the flash flood warning covers almost all of Mobile County, but that is a scary shot. You look at the headlights, there's people driving into this thing, and that just goes to show how dangerous this is. I can imagine being terrified trying to drive through that. I would hope it would only be an emergency situation that you'd even try to, because no appointment is worth your life. And trying to drive through what would be hurricane force winds, wind speeds of about 70 miles an hour, there's no, and look at that, Jennifer, we're now, even in the last 30 seconds of me talking, we've lost visibility because of the rain shaft.
And especially you can just start to see the raindrops just going right across the camera there. And so that just shows you the force of the wind that we're seeing, completely low visibility. Again, please do not be driving out in this. If you're in Baldwin County, stay off the roadways. I know that they were just letting kids out of school by that point. Just go ahead and go somewhere in the short range if you need to. It doesn't even have to be home if you can't make it there. Just stop at a business, go inside and just relax in there until this main line can push through, because that's really where some of these gusty straight line winds are located. And that's going to be our concern. Already received some reports of some downed trees in West Mobile, the hail that we've been seeing, the winds alone. And so we'll continue continue to monitor this. Just a reminder that in case you do have any of those damage reports, we are passing them along to the National Weather Service. You can submit those on our Facebook page and also submit any of those photos, but please do it carefully. Don't go outside during any of this until you start to see the back end of the system when things begin to calm down. But all of those can be submitted afterwards at fox10tv.com and also on our weather and our news app. And again, we'll pass those directly along to the National Weather Service.
That's right, Jennifer. And yeah, any damage reports you've got, please send them to us. Notice now that almost all of Baldwin County is in the severe thunderstorm warning. So it's sort of a good-bad situation here. We'll start with the good. The good is the Weather Service doesn't feel that they need to expand the tornado warning into Baldwin County, or they would have done it. When you see a severe thunderstorm warning to the east of a tornado warning, that means the Weather Service's confidence in expanding that warning is going down, and they think it's going to be more of a straight line wind threat. Now, the bad news is the straight line wind threat is still dangerous. You saw what it looked like on that camera on the roof of the Admiral Hotel, how bad it is. That line of storms that caused that is moving into Baldwin County. Everyone on the eastern shore, Stockton down to Point Clear, everyone from Bay Minette to Foley needs to make sure they are certainly off the roads. You can see the causeway in the bottom right corner of your screen. High tide happens in 20 minutes. So you've got south winds, and you can see only the left lane barely in the eastbound lanes of the causeway are actually able to maneuver right now. Can we take a shot of that full, if we can, in the control room, that DOT camera? Not that one, the DOT, that's it. You can see that, gosh, what a mess. Yeah, unless you got an SUV, I don't even know if you can make it through that. Officials are likely going to shut all that down until we start to see the tide dropping and start seeing the water begin to recede, because you need a north wind to push all of that out. When we have a storm threat and the tide is low, we don't see this happen. But when we have storms coming through at high tide, that causeway is always the first to go. That and the west end of Dauphin Island will always flood as a result of the tide and that water just spilling over from the bay onto the causeway. So we'll go back to the radar and we'll pull back up again the main squall line, see the reflectivity and see this thing maneuvering, because it's still booking a trip at about 50 miles an hour. And we'll put back up some of the locations again for tracking purposes. Jen's going to bring that up. Here it is. So now West Mobile, you are now officially past the squall line. We're getting a new sweep scan. We'll wait for that to move through. And now you can see the squall line stretches from Saraland to Pritchard to downtown Mobile, and now located in the Mobile Bay, just to the east of Tillman's Corner, to the east of Theodore, to the east of DIP. But you also see it's knocking on the doorstep of Spanish Fort, Daphne. It's going to be on the way soon, because right now you've got torrential rain and storms at where the Bayway and the Causeway. Look at the Causeway right now. We just had that shot up earlier, and look, now the visibilities have gone away because of how heavy the rain is. And you can see the shelf cloud in the center camera from Daphne, but these storms are just going to keep pushing at 50 miles an hour over onto the eastern shore. So everyone up along Highway 225, from Bicentennial Park all the way down to Garrison Ridge and US 31 needs to make sure they're on standby. Everyone on Highway 98 and Daphne Fairhope needs to be ready for this, because those storms are going to be moving in toward you next.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I had them pull up the Daphne camera full, because you can't even see the downtown skyline anymore. This system is moving directly over Mobile Bay at this time. We're going to lose visibility here in just about 30 seconds, likely from this camera. You can start to see the squall line, those dark clouds on the leading edge of this, extremely active with that thunder and that lightning. Some of those vehicles that you see driving into the system as they're heading westbound, all of their taillights are beginning to light up red. They're having to slow down with how just gusty some of these winds are. Low visibility. I know that a lot of folks, they're out on the roadways right now, unfortunately, having to pick up their kids right now. I know that we have a few folks in Carline that are messaging us, and so just take it easy, take it slow, pull over if you need to, not on the interstate. Go ahead and take that exit. You don't want to pull over on the side of the interstate. You want to take the next exit that you can and then pull over there. That way the safety is top of mind, especially with this low visibility that we're tracking. You start to see some of those low hanging clouds. Those are called scud clouds. We're not concerned with those. That isn't going to be a funnel cloud or anything. Again, they're just low hanging clouds that are pushing along it. It's mainly just that leading edge of the system that's bringing in some of these gusty straight line winds moving in towards the eastern shore, and only continuing to see the visibility drop there for cars along the Bayway and the Causeway. Causeway also flooded at this time, as Michael's been talking about all morning, especially with that high tide occurring, I believe now, and with those strong southerly winds, that's only contributing to the deteriorating conditions there. Also, I believe it was Dog River Bridge that I received a report talking about some flooding. That was one of the concerns we had heading into today, expecting that closer towards our coastal areas heading into this afternoon and this evening, especially the Florida Panhandle. We've been showing the Futurecast model. It wants to bring a steady stream of rain, that moisture beginning this evening and only continuing heading into tonight. And so expecting these rain rates to only go up even on the backside of the system. Also receiving quite a few reports of hail. I wanted to check in on those too. We've been seeing pictures all over. And so you can start to see just closer towards on the Leroy Stevens area. I'll go ahead and see how big that one was getting up to. 1.7 inches of that hail. Also continuing to see more of those move through South Alabama, Spring Hill, Davidson High School, down towards Range Line. Everywhere seeing hail with some of the system.
I can't believe how many people are trying to cross the causeway.
I know. Luckily, none of them are trying to get back onto the Bayway. We saw some of that earlier. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Don't drive in those waters in case you can't even see the road. But a lot of cars taking it easy. If you see that leading one on the right there, they're just having to push some of that water out of the way. Yeah, the Bayway is going to be the better bet so far for this afternoon. Please drive carefully out there, down to one lane, and hopefully they will continue to close the causeway here soon, because as you can see, very rough road conditions out there all across the Gulf Coast. Take it easy, headlights on, do not be in a rush. Only expecting this to move closer towards the eastern shore here soon. And also still tracking that tornado warning. Again, that area of rotation, it's turned extremely broad, mainly just that straight line wind threat that we're monitoring. But it looks like that car doesn't even want to continue to push through. Really
it's turning around. Yeah, it's saying no way. Well, because I was looking close, Jen, while you were talking there, and it looks like they're literally having to ride the shoulder. I don't even think they're on the main drag of the causeway to try to avoid the water. But I mean, in this situation, yeah, turn around, don't drown, because you don't really know how deep the water is from your vantage point, and you could end up in serious trouble with your vehicle. I mean, that's why you should, in this situation, whenever you know there's the possibility of causeway flooding, take the Bayway. If you can't,
looks like they're stopped there.
Yeah. If you can't take the Bayway, then you got to go up I-65 and go over the Dolly Parton and hook up to 225. But really, you don't need to be doing any driving at all based on how bad the weather is right now that's heading into Baldwin County. We now turn the camera toward the east. That's heading towards Spanish Fort. And you can see that car is really, it almost looks like it's hugging the median almost. That's between the old Ed Seafood Shed and headed toward, oh gosh, what's that place with the music? Yeah, Ed Seafood.
Bluegill. Yeah, you have Bluegill. Yeah, an Oyster House that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks like a lot of those cars are just beginning to turn around, likely just getting back on I-10, or they have their hazards on, just taking it slow and easy. Again, if you know anyone heading out anytime soon, give them a call, give them a heads up. Do not take the causeway at this time. There's all those folks, they just drove through those flooded waters, and now they're just ending up doing the U-turn so they don't have to go back through it.
And that's certainly smart, Jennifer. Yeah, and I'm glad they're doing that, because it's just too dangerous because of this squall line. And that happening at high tide. You couldn't have timed this worse, because high tide is 12:40. Right now it's 12:27. So this is really the worst time for a storm system to be coming through, because you have an aggressive south wind hitting all of that water in the bay at high tide. High tide raises the water by itself. You put in a 40, 50 mile an hour wind, it's just going to blow all of that water right over the causeway. And that's what we see happen in this situation. Now, if it was low tide, this would not be the case. The causeway would still be fine. But high tide, it just ain't going to work. Now, we're also watching the radar. As Jennifer mentioned, the tornado signature is broadening out. We do have one signature right here north of Georgetown in North Mobile County, but you can see overall the threat still remains straight line winds. The red and the green colors are still very separate, which means the inbound and outbound wind flow is still separated. And as we pull back and look closer at the eastern shore, you'll see that line of storms that we were tracking in Mobile is now moving right over Spanish Fort and Daphne. And look at that. Look at how that's bowing out. When you see it sort of almost taking like the arch of a D, that is a sign that it's bowing out, which means the winds are massive. So we're picking up almost hurricane force winds from Gravine Island all the way down to about Fairhope. We'll throw back on the reflectivity so you can see just how powerful the rain rate is. My gosh, look at that. So you got torrential rain, massive amounts of lightning, hurricane force winds, which really, this all goes back as far north as, I'd say, Criolla. So here's Saraland, Satsuma, Criolla would be right here, and that goes all the way down to just about Fairhope. Those of you in Fairhope, you're still okay for the moment, but not much longer, because those storms that are in the Mobile Bay are about to maneuver right on top of you. Now, everyone in downtown Mobile, West Mobile, Wilmer, things have turned much calmer for you. You're not out of the woods completely for severe weather, but your odds of seeing more have significantly decreased because your air is stabilizing. Stable air is kryptonite for any sort of severe weather setup. If the dew points begin to drop and the humidity goes down, storms have a tough time getting their act together. The atmosphere would almost have to recover in order for there to be another round of storms to move through. This squall line is that powerful. So Spanish Fort, Daphne, hold on. It's going to be really bad. Fairhope, Point Clear, it's not to you yet. Anyone near the Grand Hotel, get ready, because when that line is over you, I mean, we've seen the cameras. I mean, it is rocking. So you want to just make sure you are using extreme caution. And I don't see conditions on the causeway improving until probably after 1:30 when the tide starts to fall and the rain starts to fall. I think that's when we'll finally start to see things improving, but it's going to be a while. That is a live shot. That's a live shot from the Daphne camera, and because the line of storms is right on top. And this was the one Jennifer was looking at just a few minutes ago, where we had the good visibilities and we were watching the scud clouds, and she said very soon we're going to lose visibilities on this camera, and now it's happened. And Jennifer, basically what Daphne's got is what Mobile had about 5 minutes ago.
That's exactly right, and we're only continuing to see it track further towards the east. So it's right along the edge there in Spanish Fort. Malvis, you're up next. Daphne, this is only going to continue to move closer towards you. It's crossing over U.S. Highway 98 right now. Fairhope, yours is just a little bit delayed. You probably have about 10 to 15 minutes before it also approaches closer towards Point Clear. After that, Loxley, Robertsdale, Summerdale, Fish River area, you're going to start to see more of these heavy downpours, this lightning, and also these gusty winds begin to push your way. So central Baldwin County, you're not seeing it just yet, but it is on the way. I know that we are going to be checking in with our Hal Sherrick too for some of our live cameras out there. I believe that he was at Cloverleaf Landing. We'll see if we have an update with him coming up in just a little bit, but really just make sure you're driving carefully out there. The causeway, it almost looks like some of those cars might have stopped and just started turning around.
I think that's what they're doing. Which
is definitely the better call at this time. Yeah, oh, you can start to see that some of those cars look to be stuck out there, possibly that white SUV. So do not be driving in any of these flood waters. Remember, turn around, don't drown. You don't want to risk it at all, especially it doesn't take much for your car to be whisked away with some of these flood waters. So again, drive carefully out there. This flood concern will only last heading into this afternoon and this evening. Although the gusty straight line winds and the hail is on the leading edge, this rain will only continue. The rain rates, they've been high. We're going to be seeing saturated soil already, and especially the Florida Panhandle, you're leaning towards seeing more of these showers continuous heading into this evening. So please be careful out there. That car moving extremely fast through there. Just be thinking of the others out there. We'll continue to monitor and keep you updated. Again, stay off the causeway. All those cars beginning to turn around. Hopefully we'll get an update with those two vehicles that are stranded out there coming up soon.
Yeah, you're right, Jennifer. And if you look at it, the water level, I mean, it's almost up to the window of the passenger seat, so of the passenger side of the car. And yeah, what Jennifer said just rings home there. She said, turn around, don't drown, because you can never be totally sure about how deep the water is. Why take the chance? And when you don't, that kind of thing can happen. And that's basically a textbook example of why that phrase exists. Always, never take the chance when it comes to potential flooding on the road, because your vehicle can easily get stuck. Now, at least things are improving in Mobile rain-wise, but they are deteriorating on the eastern shore. Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope. Look at all the lightning that we've got showing up from Saraland down to Daphne and Fairhope on the radar. 225, you're getting a lot of that lightning. And all of that is going to keep veering its way to the east at about 50 miles an hour. Let's bring up the storm track if we can, Jen. Let's just take this whole line and just march it off to the east and northeast at 50 miles an hour, and we'll get an estimate again on what other communities and what time you're going to be seeing this nasty line hitting you. Now, this is an estimate. If the storm speeds up or slows down, it could change all of that. So here's the new estimate that Jennifer just pulled up. Fairhope, you've got 5 minutes, and then it's going to be over you. Stapleton, just after 12:45. Gateswood, coming in just after 1 o'clock. Foley at 1:11, Seminole at 1:20, and Seminole's on the eastern end of Baldwin County, and it just goes to show how this thing outsmarted the model guidance and why we always encourage you all day to stay weather aware, because if storms speed up or slow down, all the projected timing is just thrown out the window, and you've got to be ready for it when it's barreling down. Molino, it would be to you shortly after 1:30, and that's in Escambia County, Florida. So the eastern shore getting the brunt of the storms. Everyone else in the county is okay for now, but that could easily change. We're still monitoring things with the Weather Service. For some reason, I should have asked this sooner. Jennifer, the tornado warning that was in play is gone, right? I'm assuming that expired a while back.
Yes, that expired.
Okay. So we do have a flash flood warning for all of Mobile County with the exception of the coastal spots. Alabama Port, Dauphin Island, everyone else is underneath a flash flood warning in Mobile County because of the torrential amounts of rain and storms. I wouldn't be surprised if we see those issue into Baldwin County. The severe thunderstorm warning that's in play, that goes on till is it 1 o'clock, Jennifer, that severe thunderstorm warning, 1:30?
It goes until 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay, so 1 o'clock is how long that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be in play. And then those of you on the Florida side, you'll be next to deal with that line of showers and thunderstorms. So if you're just joining us, I'm meteorologist Michael White, meteorologist Jennifer Lambers here in the Fox 10 Storm Tracker Center. Nicholas Herboso's in the Storm Tracker vehicle tracking the storms out in the field. Jason and Matt will be along later today. And that is the core of the lightning right there. And we are seeing 536 lightning strikes in this box that Jennifer just drew. That covers everyone from Mount Vernon to Dauphin Island, Foley, up to near Atmore. And you can see right on the eastern shore, you've got lightning strikes of about 536. Hopefully your electronics are okay. I remember what happened to me at my house in June. Hopefully that does not happen again. But the lightning is ferocious, showing up now east of Spanish Fort. So this is the Malbus community, Gravine Island, Satsuma, Daphne, getting the brunt of the storms. Downtown Mobile, things have begun to calm down there. Downtown Mobile, visibilities have probably improved. West Mobile, Sims, Dawes, things are a lot better. Now, we're also monitoring to see what kind of damage has taken place in the Mobile area when that line of storms moved through. Jennifer was mentioning that we were getting numerous reports of power outages. I'm sure that there are going to be damage reports coming in soon. Trees, power lines are going to be knocked over because the winds with this are about hurricane force strength. And just look at the reflectivity. So whenever you see storms doing this motion, like if you're drawing the letter D, right? So if you drew the letter D, you would draw it like this, right? Whenever you see a line of storms doing the arch of that D, or what would be a letter D, that means the storms are bowing out, which means their wind speeds are increasing tremendously. And we had projected wind speeds already, or wind intensity of 60 miles an hour. When they bow out like that, they only get stronger and more vigorous, and this has certainly been the case with this. And it's also, the whole line itself has begun to speed up. So it has been just a real nasty event with this line of storms. So from what we've seen so far, the tornado threat hasn't really amounted to much area-wide, at least not yet. But the rain threat, the flooding threat, the straight line wind threat has been really massive with these storms. The lightning has been extremely intense. And the reason why we're staying on the air, even though we don't have any active tornado warnings, is simply because the squall line is so dangerous. And because we still have an active severe thunderstorm warning, that is the reason why we have to continue monitoring this as it veers through the eastern shore, and especially a lot of these densely populated spots across Baldwin County. And Jennifer, what are you seeing right now?
I actually wanted to go back to the causeway really quickly. That's what a lot of folks are requesting here on our Fox 10 Facebook Live, just to stay stay updated with it. Whoops, I accidentally had to reload that. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. But here's a live look outside from the eastern shore. This is going to be the Bayway and the Causeway. Extremely low visibility out there. In case you are driving, it's going to be some rough conditions. If you know anyone on the interstate, do not let them pull over on the interstate. Just remind them to find the closest exit and then pull off there. You're only creating a bigger hazard for yourself and others if you pull off onto the side of the road on the interstate. Again, I know that a lot of folks are asking for that Causeway update. We'll have that in just a moment here. But if you know of anyone that's heading out, please do not have them drive on the Causeway. Tell them to take the Bayway. Tell them to take an alternate route, mainly just since we are starting to see those floodwaters really beginning to rise, especially on the eastbound travel there, right where the Causeway and the Bayway meet in the center lanes. We did have some vehicles that were stuck out there, mainly due to those floodwaters. And remember, if you don't see the ground, if you can't see it because of those floodwaters, turn around, don't drown. It does not take much to really impact your vehicle out there. Although some vehicles are making it through, there's no guarantees that yours will behind it. So we'll continue to watch this as we do get closer. But I am getting more and more power outage reports. I just got one that it went out and on in Spanish Fort, additional power outages in Theodore. We are receiving multiple videos and pictures on our Fox 10 Facebook page and also on our Fox 10 website of people sending in those damage reports, hail reports. Someone said that it's getting really bad in Fairhope right now. So just also monitoring these comments on our Facebook Live as we make our way into the rest of this afternoon. Please have a way to get those updates, have a way to get those alerts in case anything is issued. But this gusty straight line wind threat is really going to be the biggest thing out there. We can start to see this bowing out just in central Baldwin County. So Fairhope, Daphne, you're beginning to see the impacts of this. Stapleton, Loxley, Summerdale, Foley, Bon Secours, Wolf Bay, you are up next for seeing some of these gusty straight line winds. Visibility slowly improving out there now that this really heavy rain is pushing through on the Bayway. But again, more of those updates will be coming up in just a little bit as we continue to monitor what's going on. But also getting new reports in Baldwin County of some hail just closer towards Summerdale. So do be cautious of the hail reports that we're receiving as well, but that flash flood warning in effect right now. Just a reminder that all of the tornado warnings have been dropped off so far. Right now, just monitoring that gusty straight line wind threat, the flooding threat, the hail threat. A lot going on out there. Please be careful. We'll have additional updates coming up. Michael.
Thanks a lot, Jennifer. Yeah, if you're just joining us, we're continuing to monitor the situation across the area. This nasty line of storms that has been bowing out, producing not just massive rain, but massive wind across the eastern shore, is eventually going to be tracking into central Baldwin County, which means the Highway 59 corridor, Loxley, Robertsdale, Summerdale, Stapleton. You're going to be next. The storms are headed your way. Everyone else, the weather's going to be getting calmer. Now, Fairhope, it's still nasty for you. Daphne, it's still nasty for you, but you're going to see that rain and storm activity exiting sooner rather than later. In fact, we're getting a new sweep scan in right now, and we'll see where the line of storms is currently positioned. Still over Fairhope, but now moving more toward Loxley and Stapleton. Things are getting calmer in downtown Mobile, which is good news. West Mobile, it's really getting calm for you. The visibilities have improved tremendously, which is great. That's Busby Landing. You can see it's still, because of the high tide, the water is a lot higher than average. The high tide is now Cloverleaf Landing is what we're looking at, and you can still see that because of high tide, the water levels are higher than average. But you combine all that south wind that we've been dealing with from these storms, and it's blown a lot of water up from the bay, up onto the docks, up onto the shore, and that's just been creating a lot of issues out there. As the tide falls through the afternoon and through the evening, you'll see the water levels begin to recede. Also, now that the worst of the storms have already passed that area, you're going to start to see things improve. But it's going to take a while for that to happen, but the waters will eventually recede. But because we're at high tide and we had all of those aggressive south winds, it's just caused massive issues. And we have definitely continued to watch these storms as they blow through the area. Now, Baldwin County, you're getting the brunt of it, but Mobile, you're starting to see things improving. But we're going to have rain lingering for several more hours. That's why I think we're transitioning more into a flash flooding threat, and the flash flood warning is already up for Mobile County. It hasn't been issued for Baldwin yet, but I would be surprised if it wasn't. We will likely see a flash flood warning issued for Baldwin County, I would think, within the next 30 to 60 minutes as that line of storms continues to march its way eastward, because the rain rates have been so heavy. Not only have they been heavy, it's still raining. Granted, it's a lot lighter, but it's still raining where all of that heavy rain had already trained through, and that's what's causing the problems. Now, if you're watching us in Cantonment, you're watching us in Pensacola, Pineville, Seminole, you probably haven't seen much out there, and you're probably wondering, hey, well, when's the severe weather threat coming my way? Well, it's going to be heading your way shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon when that line of storms makes it to you, because it has beaten the models with its projected speed. It was moving at about 10 miles an hour, then 30, then it jumped up to 50 miles an hour, which is the reason why it's moved into Baldwin so fast ahead of schedule, and the reason why we're approaching 1245, and we still have the line moving at an accelerated speed closer toward Escambia County, Florida. Jen, what are you seeing on social media so far?
I wanted to go ahead and talk about some of the trees in the roadways that we're experiencing at this time. Just so you know that there is an accident at 181 and Alabama 104. There's also a tree in the roadway at McVeigh Drive between Government Boulevard and Halls Mill. So that is right here at the Fox 10 studios, right down the street. We're also getting reports of trees in the roadways near Halls Mill Road near Demetropolis, and then also Old Pascagoula Road near Lockwood Drive. Also additional trees in the roadways. Accidents I-10 eastbound just after the Grand Bay Wilmer Road. Trees in the roadway just closer towards Paget Switch Road at 1 Mile Road, and then water completely over the causeway at this time. You can start to see more of those cars that are just beginning to stack up there. The causeway is really deteriorating at this time. That westbound travel seems to be completely stopped at this time. Eastbound, again, those lanes are completely absorbed by some of the water there. So just make sure that you're driving carefully. Don't head out anytime soon, as we are just starting to see some of the deteriorating conditions out there across the causeway, the Bayway, and all across the Gulf Coast. This is only continuing to push closer towards Baldwin County and the Florida Panhandle, and also getting reports of those trees down in the roadway. If you see any more of those reports, I just got one from Rebecca Long on our Facebook Live, and she said that there's a tree in the road on Main Street in Daphne. A lot of folks really concerned about the wind that's pushing through central Baldwin County and just about how loud it is. Also seeing more of these reports from folks all across that there is a train at a standstill on 225 from Tucker Sellers. And so please just make sure that you're driving carefully out there. Again, here's that look at the Bayway and the Causeway. Causeway completely stopped. I believe that is going to be on that westbound travel. Eastbound, those roads, that road is completely closed just due to the flooded waters out there. And I think we're going to start to see some developments with those two cars that we saw stalled out there on that eastbound lane. If you see at the very bottom center there where the flashing lights are, that's going to be those two white SUVs, SUV and a van, it looks like, that got stuck in those waters. So remember, turn around, don't drown. Although you are starting to see some of those gusty winds move past you, we're still monitoring the potential for additional hail heading into today. Some of the isolated gusty winds still possible with some of those isolated cells, and then also the rain. That's going to be the big story continuing heading into this afternoon and this evening. We already see saturated soil. We already see those flood waters out there, and so those could continue to be a concern on the roadways for your afternoon and your evening commute. Best just to take it easy, take it slow, drive carefully, and stay inside if you can. Pick up your kids from school and just go straight home, or even stop at a grocery store or a restaurant too, in case you don't want to make it home with some of these conditions that we're monitoring. But we'll have additional updates, and I'll continue to monitor social media here, Michael. Thanks a lot, Jennifer. And we're looking at a wider view. You can see the causeway is basically stopped. Everyone's having to take the Bayway, which is the smart course of action, but moving at a crawl space. So if you have to get to Baldwin County or vice versa, get to Mobile County, just plan on it taking a while, because now that the worst of the weather is past you, it's safer to travel now. But because you still have causeway flooding as a result of high tide, you got to take the Bayway, but everyone's on the Bayway. So it's just making for an extreme travel delay. So you're just gonna have to pack patience, know that you're not gonna be able to go the speed limit, you're gonna have to go slow, but hey, getting there late is better than not getting there at all. So just remember to drive slowly and safely out there, because staying up on that high bridge on the Bayway is without a doubt the safer way to go, because we were watching in real time when that poor car got stranded there, because Jennifer had been preaching about the turn around, don't drown, and we literally saw the water smashing up against that vehicle, almost where it was hitting the side passenger window, because it was hitting not just at high tide, but also hitting when the worst of the storms, and that squall line was right on top of them. So I'm sure that was absolutely terrifying. And of course, now we've got power outages in play.
Damage is showing up in several spots that we're keeping up to date with, and we're continuing to follow the situation as it moves into central Baldwin County. Later today, we're going to have Jason and Matt with us in the Weather Center. They're going to be able to update you more on the situation as it continues throughout the rest of the day, and also we're going to be having more updates in the field with some of our reporters. So for now, we'll get ready to send you back to programming because we don't have any active tornado warnings on the board right. Okay, I was waiting for a signal. So we've got heavy rain and storms right now across parts of central Baldwin County from Bay Minette down to Foley, and you can see all that's going to keep veering its way to the east at about 50 miles per hour. But we haven't gotten any new reports as of now. We're still monitoring things on social media for where the power outages are, where the damage is, but we just don't see any of that at the moment. And Jen, can you pull up the new Futurecast and let's see kind of what it's going with, the new high-res graph, and see what we've got. So we'll pull that up and momentarily on the graphic system, we'll be able to see the Futurecast data and see where the storms are, when they're going to exit, and when we'll start to see things improving.
I say it's taking its time.
It's taking its time
loading.
loading.
It's taking its time. So
it's taking its time. We probably worked that thing into overdrive today. So yeah, it's probably moving at a snail's pace, and maybe one of those things where we have to close the program and then and reopen it. Sometimes that happens. But as far as what you're seeing across Mobile, Daphne, Causeway, if you have to cross the bay, you got to take the Bayway. That's the best situation. Mobile, things are improving. Do we have Nicholas Herboso with us? Do we have him in the STORMtracker vehicle? Get an update from him by chance? Okay, they're working on getting that because, yeah, we would love to get some of our reporters on here and talk to them about what they're seeing. Okay, hey, Nicholas, tell me where you're at right now. We're kind of watching things unfold right now.
I know y'all are, and I'm watching it unfold from here, too. So we're actually getting onto 165. We're going to head towards the Causeway and try to see what's going on. I've been watching y'all's feed, the live cameras down there, and also we've been just keeping an eye on radar and other storm chasers that are down there. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, there's storm surge. So definitely big travel impacts on the Bayway and Causeway, of course, because the Causeway is flooded. In fact, I've been checking some of the cameras down the Causeway as well, just to see, and it looks like westbound Causeway is also having some water issues. So it looks like both ways on the Causeway, it's just not going. So that's the situation there. We're about to hit the Africatown Bridge and get kind of a wide view here in a second, but that's what we're seeing right now. We are heading towards the Causeway. That we had a thought of going north on 65 and kind of getting the tail end of the squall line. You know, you have something called bookend vortex, and we've kind of seen some little rotation couplings in the north end of the line, which is now located in areas such as along 65, Creola, Stockton, Bay Minette. We've been watching like these small, very, very weak little rotation areas. But we really aren't seeing that now, and since the Causeway is so much of an event, we have decided to head down that way, so that is what we're doing at this present time. So guys, definitely a lot going on, a lot of impacts, other than oh, it looks like the lights are out here. If y'all can see that from our top camera here. Yeah, so this is Africatown getting towards the Africatown Bridge. It looks like the lights are out here. So that's something. But yeah, I'll send it back to you guys, but it is definitely an active weather situation, even though we've only had just this squall line pushed through. Thankfully, not a lot of tornado threats, or not a lot of tornado issues, but still causing impacts, which is something that we expected. Guys?
Thanks a lot, Nick. Yeah, and I wonder how many, if the impacts would be less if, it was coming in at low tide instead of high tide. But these power outages are a big problem. Where Nicholas is right around Interstate 165, Africatown Boulevard, the Pritchard area. And you can see that now that the squall line is out, most of the roads are drivable, which is good news. But we're not really seeing much in the way of any sort of major threats in that region, which is good. Jennifer's got the graphic system back up so we can show the watch warning map, and you can see we've got the tornado watch. That's up until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, area-wide. flash flood warnings for George County, Mobile County, and only one severe thunderstorm warning showing up right now for Baldwin County. And that's from the main squall line that we've been following this entire day. And that squall line, as you know, has been producing massive winds, heavy rain, lightning. The tornado threat has not really materialized. The big threat seems to be from flooding, especially causeway flooding as a result of high tide and the south winds coming together, which always leads to problems. We've also seen straight line wind damage from this squall line. The straight line wind damage has been ferocious. The wind speeds have gotten as high as 70 miles per hour. That's almost hurricane force winds. We've still got a ton of lightning popping right now between Bay Minette and Loxley. That's right around State Highway 112. So anyone that's traveling in that northern section of Baldwin County, you're going to be dealing with a very loud thunderstorm that's eventually going to be working its way into Escambia County, Florida. So you got Atmore here, you got Brat, Florida here, you got Century, and those storms are all going to be moving into that northern end of Escambia County, Florida. So if you live in that part of the Gulf Coast, you want to be ready for that, because we'll see the squall line exiting Alabama within the next 30 minutes, but it still extends as far south as Robertsdale, Summerdale, Foley. We'll zoom in a little tighter. You can get a better look at that line and see who's getting the heaviest rain right now. Here's Robertsdale, Summerdale. It's about to be right on top of you. Finally, Fairhope, you're about to catch a little bit of a breather. You're finally going to be on the back edge of that main squall line band, as that's going to be shifting its way more to the east at 50 miles an hour. Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith is popping into the Fox 10 Storm Tracker Center. We'll hand off coverage to him momentarily, and he'll be able to continue to follow this squall line as it veers its way eastward. But it has been just a nasty day, and part of it is because that line has sped up in intensity as it's worked its way through. But we've still got just pouring rain, flooding threats, and I would say that's what I'd plan for the rest of the day. Plan for the potential for straight line winds, trees and power lines to knock over, as well as the potential for flash flooding, because we're not going to be going dry behind this squall line. We still have the potential for more rain on the back edge, which is something we have already seen. I'll go ahead and hand things over to Jason. He's just now popping into the Storm Tracker Center. And Jason, it just looks like this is going to be one of those ugly days on the Gulf Coast.
No doubt about it, Michael, as we are in a straight line wind situation with some coastal flooding mixed in here on Fox 10 News, and excellent coverage throughout the day. With this, we had a tornado warning earlier for Mobile. It was a radar indicated tornado that has been allowed to expire. Now we're in a severe thunderstorm warning for Baldwin County, and we've got anywhere from Seminole to Elsinore. It's really starting to go downhill for you right now, and you can see that nasty line of red. One of the things we've noted is that it's actually darker outside with this thunderstorm than it actually was for the partial solar eclipse. This is a real tall cloud top that we have out there that's creating this thunderstorm, and so it is bringing a real darkening of the skies. Also, if you look at the signature on radar, maybe not so much paying attention to this right here, but generally a bow-shaped signature from Pelican Point back up to Elsinore, up near Gateswood, and back around to Bay Minette and Phillipsville. And when you see that bowing out right there, that is usually producing significant thunderstorm winds, and we've seen wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. This should continue to produce wind gusts of about 60 miles per hour as this moves across from west to east across the forecast area. So right now it is in Mobile. If you're in Pensacola and you're thinking, hey, when am I going to have to contend with this? Well, the first batch of rain is coming across Perdido Key right now, and then the potential straight line winds will be associated with that and behind it. This band getting close to Lillian. It's between Alberta and Lillian now, coming along Highway 98 and also Highway 90 between Elsinore and Seminole here in eastern Baldwin County. We're getting very heavy rain with a lot of lightning strikes embedded down around Fish River, Magnolia Springs, Magnolia River, back up here towards Silver Hill and in Summerdale, and showing up with a lot of lightning strikes with this too. We've seen some really Amazing lightning strikes. It is a very dangerous element to the storm. A lot of cloud to ground lightning going on. We can see where it's really bowing out here. The winds could be even stronger north of I-10, and a lot of this is going to be around the Styx River from there up towards Gateswood. And you can see there's Highway 112 here, so running from the Barno Park area back up in the direction of Bay Minette, about halfway across. Very heavy wind here, and look at the lightning strikes. The reflectivity really high right here. Heavy downpours along Highway 112 between Bay Minette and Gateswood, where you see that dark coloration there, and look at the concentration of lightning strikes that are associated with that. This is tracking east and will be sweeping across Escambia County shortly. Not just Escambia County, Florida, but also Escambia County, Alabama. We're getting on and off heavy rain. Bruton seeing it right now. Canoe, Flomaton, a little break, and then it picks back up around Atmore. Most of this is embedded thunderstorm activity, so we're not under any warnings into northern Escambia County, southwestern Conecuh County, southern Monroe County, back into Clark County. We're also keeping an eye on this with our live cameras. We've got some coastal flooding going on. High tide is at 1:26 p.m. at the Mobile State Docks. Astronomically, it's about a 1.8 foot tide according to the tide gauge, and then you take that south wind and it's blowing the water up the bay, and so that's why we have some coastal flooding going on. That's affecting travel along the causeway. We also may see some coastal flooding west into Dolphin Island, the mouth of Dog River, some of the potential areas where we could see some of that going on. Now, we also have seen the potential for some small to medium sized hail with this system as it came through, and it looks like we possibly had some hail around Airport Boulevard down to about Cottage Hill Road and Dawes. That was earlier, so these are the tracks that show the history of the hail. Now that hail core is going to be more over here into Baldwin County if we're seeing the hail at all. You can see how things are turning over to light green on radar here, and this storm, while it's terrible, it is a very impressive severe thunderstorm. There's actually a silver lining to this, and it's calming the atmosphere down behind it. So when we were looking at the potential for severe weather, we were thinking this is something that was going to go on through the whole afternoon and into the early part of tonight. However, we expect this thing to generally race across the area from west to east, and it's calming the atmosphere down behind it. So right now, if you're in West Mobile or in Wilmer or Citronelle or even in downtown Mobile or anywhere in Mobile County, you got air temperatures running in the low to mid 60s right now, and things are stabilizing. We still have rain, embedded lightning, and also some heavier downpours mixed in, and all that is going on. But the severe potential is primarily going to be associated with this right here from Foley all the way up to Gateswood and then back around to Bay Minette. Central and southern Baldwin County under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and the Futurecast has been doing a real good job showing what we expect to happen with this through time. We do expect that this storm system will continue to move on off towards the east. We still may have some embedded rain on the back edge, but most of the severe threat is going to be along the leading edge, and that leading edge is going to be close to Destin by about 3 o'clock this afternoon, if not a little sooner. Still could see some embedded thunderstorms back behind it, and all this kicks out of here by later this evening, and there will be a more stable atmosphere just because of the cool pool, the rain cooled air. The thunderstorm is working over the atmosphere and actually calming it down. So it's really violent. It is windy ahead of this thing, and then behind it there is a lower threat of severe weather, and it looks like just a few thunderstorms, mainly just embedded thunder showers, will roll across the panhandle through about 8 o'clock. Most of that's going to be out of the area by 9 or 10 o'clock, if not a little sooner. This model may not be grasping at how quickly the storm system is moving through the area, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see a pretty quick end to this one. But it's not over right now. We're right in the thick of it now in Baldwin County. We are looking better in Daphne and Fairhope, but we are making that transition across the Florida line. This heavy thunderstorm is coming across the Perdido River now, and it's punching into Escambia County. Northern Escambia County up near Highway 97 from the Alabama line south. The core, the heaviest weather may end up just a little south of Atmore. It's just going like this. It's heading east, and so there is the Seminole area right there, and then we've got Highway 112 here. You've got got the Barno Park Bridge on the Perdido River right about there. And this is that heavy rain coming across from Gateswood. Gusty winds. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. You know, we have these tornado warnings, and that is a very serious situation. But when you have straight line wind damage, it can be equally as destructive. And in this particular case, the potential is there for wind gusts up to 75 to 80 miles an hour. We've seen peak gust at right now, our wind at Pensacola at 47 miles per hour. So that's the current wind gust that's occurring, and that's not even in the core of the heavy thunderstorm yet. So it gives you an idea of the wind potential with this system as it works through very, very gusty winds. Travel's not advised until this thing calms down. We're seeing some street flooding. We do have flash flood warnings in effect for our area. We've got some minor coastal flooding going on too. That's really a two-phase scenario. So you get rain, that creates flooding, obviously, but you can also see coastal flooding from wind driving the tide up higher than normal. And that's what's going on the causeway. What's happening on the causeway is not rain related. That is directly proportional to the bay, which you can see lapping over the seawall onto the causeway there. And then, you know, checking things out here with what's going on with Nicholas stuck in traffic here, not far away from that location, getting closer to Austell, it appears. And we are looking at some really slick roads there. There's a lot of ponding on the roadways. This time of the year, in our part of the world, most leaves fall in the fall. But down here in the deep south, a lot of our leaves actually push out in the spring. So you have leaves on live oak trees, and when the new growth starts to come out, it pushes the old leaves out. And so you're actually more vulnerable for having storm drains get clogged this time of the year in the spring than you do in the fall in a lot of locations here across the deep south. So we're watching out for that potential too. So the heavy rain is bearing down on Foley now. It's coming along Highway 98. It is now on the east side of the Magnolia River and bearing down on Foley. We're getting it in Robertsdale and Silverdale now. This is spreading along Highway 90, getting closer to the Seminole area. It's in Elsinore right now. And then this high concentration of lightning here, that's where we're seeing the most intense part of the thunderstorm currently. And that's going to put it near Pineville. Right now it's over the Perdido River too, and this is a pretty sparsely populated area. There's a lot of forever wildland right through here, Perdido River Canoe Trail, and so a low population density here, but this is about to move over towards Highway 29, and you get over towards McDavid, and there's a lot more going on as far as population. And looking at the track here, it looks like we just got a tornado warning issued here for Escambia County, right where we were showing you the high concentration of lightning. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for Escambia County, and that's going to be for northern Escambia County here along Highway 97 and Highway 29. So your possible area of rotation is going to be right on top of the Perdido River. It looks like it's a little south of Phillipsville, and it's going to be tracking like this. We're currently looking at the velocity product. Jennifer just pulled that up for us here, and this is straight line wind damage here, and then where you see that little kink right there, that is going to be the possibility of a tornado. So this is the straight line wind element to it, and then your rotation area is going to be right up here just south of Pineville, and we're seeing this moving in the direction of Highway 97. The forward speed on these thunderstorms has been about 40 to 50 miles an hour. And so looking at this tornado warned area here, some of the communities that are in this, again, sparsely populated where it is right now, but it's about to move towards Highway 97 and then over towards McDavid and Century. And it looks like Century is pretty much in the center of this cone. This is a storm-based warning, so when we have a tornado warning, it's issued for a specific area, not just a general county or a general part of a state, but specifically inside this red box. If you're in this red box, you are under a tornado warning. Here are the particulars on it, and it's in effect until 1:30, so it's going to be in effect for another 24 minutes, and it looks like a radar-indicated tornado warning. So there's multiple types of tornado warnings. You have confirmed, confirmed by radar, and then you have radar indicated. And right now this is a radar indicated area of rotation that's crossing the Perdido River and moving in the direction of McDavid and Century to the south of it. Want to definitely emphasize that if you're not getting a tornado on the upper end of this thing, you're definitely seeing straight line winds that could create damage on the south end of it. All right, Walnut Hill right here. Here's 97A, Pine Forest Road. There's Pineville. We've got this thing basically coming through Pineville and Walnut Hill right in through here. So this is an area of concern for a possible tornado. I'm going to send it now over to meteorologist Jennifer Lambers. We've got team coverage. We had Michael in earlier, and now it's myself and meteorologist Jennifer Lambers along with Nicholas Herboso in the field with team coverage. And Jen, this tornado just came down, this tornado warning.
Yeah, Jason, that's exactly right. We just had this tornado warning issued. Again, this is going to be for Escambia County, Florida, also a small portion there of Santa Rosa, Florida. And so what we're starting to see is just on the south side of Pineville, getting closer towards Walnut Hill, Brat, Florida, you're included in this, Century, Bluff Springs, all included in this area of rotation and this tornado warning. McDavid, you're closer towards this, but right now it looks to be tracking just on the north side of you as we make our way into the rest of today. So again, stay updated with us with this tornado warning that is in effect until we get closer towards 1:30 heading into today. And again, it's just a severe thunderstorm that's capable of producing that tornado. It was located 10 miles southwest of Brat or 12 miles south of Atmore, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So mainly just tracking that area of rotation. And it's really just on the very bottom or on the north side there of this warning. I'll circle it just on the south side there of Pineville, because regardless, everywhere, McDavid, Century, Flomaton, even if you don't start to see this area of rotation, you're still going to start to see more of these gusty straight line winds from the system as it continues to push through. Go ahead and know where you're going to go. Think of the lower portion of your house, that interior room. You don't want any of those walls to share the outside or share a wall with the outside. Think of a closet, a bathroom, a pantry, plus also it can be something without windows too, is what you want to keep in mind for that. So we're just going to continue to monitor this tornado warning. Again, just issued for portions of Escambia County, Florida, and slivers of Santa Rosa County as we make our way into the rest of today, but still starting to see so many other alerts out there. Regardless, the gusty straight line winds with it that's going to move through Molino, Chumuckla, McDavid. Looking in just a little bit closer. So in case you aren't in this tornado warning, even cantonment, you're still going to start to see more of these gusty winds. Please be cautious out there. Please be careful driving. Also, I just want to give a quick update too that the causeway is completely closed at this time. AlDOT did just officially close it. This police department of Spanish Fort also closed the causeway on their end once they started to see some of these water rescues that were having to take place of just pulling some of these cars out of the flooded water. So we'll continue to monitor, keep you updated on those cars too. I know a lot of folks were concerned about them. We'll monitor that. We'll also monitor this tornado warning, again, just issued for Escambia County, Florida, and also just a little sliver there of Santa Rosa County, Florida.
This is very close to Walnut Hill, and so some of the roadways that may be affected: Arthur Brown Road, that's 99A, also Pine Forest Road, that's 97A. So those are some of the locations that may be impacted by this possible tornado. We've got North Cypress Street, Juniper Street. These are all areas in right now in Escambia County here near Stewart Road, Kansas Road, all along 99A and 97A there is where we're currently under a tornado warning, and this is getting close to Wiggins Lake Estate once it gets a little further to the east over towards Highway 97. So those are some of the landmarks that may be impacted here. Northwest Escambia and Bradbury Park is also in line for this one, and so we're expecting to see these locations that could be indicated by this possible area of rotation. There is Pineville right there, Walnut Hill right here, and then here is Highway 97, and you're getting over towards McDavid. And what's happening here is we've got a really long, large bow echo signature on radar, and when you have these bows, a lot of times on either end of the bow bow. On the south end or on the north end, you can get these little eddies. It can create spin, and that can create a tornadic situation. So this is that bow signature, which is likely producing straight line wind damage. And then up on the north end of that bow, that's where we have the rotation area. So here it is. We've got a straight line wind event ongoing, bearing down on Highway 97, and that's going to be south of McDavid. And then this is our area of rotation now between Pineville and Highway 97. It's going to be located most likely rain wrapped, so we've got heavy rainfall going on. This is not going to be a situation where you're likely going to be able to see a tornado, because the rotation is actually in the core of the very heavy rain. And it is tracking. Here's McDavid here, there's Century. This will move across Highway 97 and advance further to the east and to the northeast. Right now moving northeast at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. So that is a very, very fast forward speed. And you can see even based on a 33 mile per hour forward speed, we'd have it at McDavid by 127. I think you could probably shave a little off some of these times here to get a feel for exactly how fast this thing is going and what areas that would be impacted within the box. Century by 130, Jay by 140, Dixonville by 154. So if you see these communities on here, these are areas that are actually located in the core of the warned area. We're taking the rotation area that is located on radar right now and then tracking it with our STORMtracker technology. And Dixonville is actually in southern Escambia County, Alabama. You've got two counties named Escambia right next to each other. You got Escambia County, Florida, Escambia County, Alabama. So that's why we often use the state identifier too to get specific. This could end up over into Santa Rosa County too. In fact, a portion of Santa Rosa County is included in this tornado warning that is still in effect for, it looks like, another 17 minutes through 1:30 p.m. So the north end of this bow signature on radar, we do have some rotation embedded within this. Most of that's going to be right along Highway 97 now, and that's going to the south of that be an area where we have possible straight line winds. So your rotation area is up here, and then now the straight line winds likely coming across Highway 97 down here, a little closer to the Molino area. It's going to be between Molino and Walnut Hill, basically right in Walnut Hill proper right now with the rotation area. And then we'll continue to see this heading in the direction of Century. This is currently a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning, so it is not a confirmed tornado right now. We've not noted any significant debris signature or tornado debris signature with this particular situation here, but we'll continue to monitor that as well. So an overview of what's happening right now. We've got a tornado watch in effect for most of the area through 5 o'clock. We will see some of these counties here to the west likely drop off of that tornado watch. There are flash flood warnings up for the entire area of Mobile County from Citronelle all the way down to just north of Isla Battery. We have currently a flash flood warning for George County and for Greene County. That's going to be for ongoing street flooding primarily that's happening in our area. Also some coastal flooding happening. Then the orange box here, that is a large severe thunderstorm warning that's currently encompassing 3 counties in our forecast area. Mobile County, Escambia County, Florida, and Santa Rosa County currently in a severe thunderstorm warning, and that includes Pensacola. And then we have our tornado warning that's ongoing right now for Walnut Hill. So we go just warnings only. We'll take the watch off, and you can see where we have that tornado warned area now along Highway 97 advancing on off towards the east, northeast, or the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. And we do see a large area of possible thunderstorm wind gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour that are going to be working across and through this orange colored box right here. So Pensacola, Perdido Key to the north, also all the way up here around McDavid, Chumuckla, you are all under a severe thunderstorm warning. So whether you see a tornado or not, you're definitely looking at the potential of damaging winds. Most concerned about this part of the storm right here, the upper end of it, where we have that bow signature, but also very gusty winds. Even ahead of this thunderstorm at Pensacola Airport without even being in the red here or along the leading edge of the red. We just had a wind gust of over 45 miles an hour just associated with the initial gust there ahead of the thunderstorm complex. So nasty line of storms. We've dealt with it in Mobile. It is improving over Mobile County, but it is looking really ominous here in Escambia County, Florida. Right now in Mobile, still some light rain. I like the rainfall rate here. We are looking at light to moderate rain ongoing in Mobile County now. Of course, there could be some localized flooding, and we're obviously witnessing the closing of the causeway, not related to the rain, but because of the strong south wind and the high tide, which is at about 1:30 this afternoon. It will, the way that works with tide, you know, it's not like, okay, at 1:30 it's going to be, you know, high tide, and then by 1:31 it's over. It takes a long time for the tide to turn and start to fall, so it's most likely still going to be mid-afternoon before we start to see some improvements with the flooding on the causeway. It is possible that we still may have some closures along the causeway for that commute at 4 and 5 p.m. this afternoon, because sometimes the wind overcomes the actual tide. The tide's trying to fall according to the pull of the moon and the sun, but the wind is still persistent out of the south, and that may, along with the swell, still keep the tides running above normal there. So Mobile County doing a little bit better, other than some flooding ongoing and street locations, street flooding and coastal flooding. We get over to Baldwin County, and this is a whole lot better situation in Daphne and Fairhope and around Loxley and Bay Minette. You tapered off to the light rain, and most of the severe weather is going to be along the leading edge of this thunderstorm complex. So after you deal with the leading edge of it, things will start to improve. We just got an update on this tornado warning, and it's taken the Pineville area out of the tornado warning, and it's saying in our possible rotation area right in here on Highway 97 between the Florida-Alabama line and Molino, and this is tracking towards Highway 29, which would put this possible tornado very close to McDavid and Century. It may actually cross Highway 29 just north of McDavid. So we've got a tornado warned system right here, and it is crossing Highway 97 and tracking towards Highway 29, and it is now working its way towards Santa Rosa County. It's currently still in central northern Escambia County, Florida, but it won't be long with this fast forward speed that this is going to end up over into Santa Rosa County once it heads over towards McDavid. Highway 29 here, highly traveled area, as well as Highway 97. That's the roadway that leads north from Pensacola up in the direction of Atmore. Highway 29 ends up in Flomaton and Century, and you are under a tornado warning in northern Escambia County here, northeastern Escambia County, for a possible tornado that is currently in the process of crossing Highway 97 and then tracking across Escambia County and headed towards McDavid. So definitely something to be concerned with there. The National Weather Service just updated us to say that the circulation has tightened up a bit right through here. So that means that the rotation area, when it is tighter, it has more of a potential of producing a tornado, and it's being monitored to see if this will continue or persist as this advances on off. Looks like we've got a little radar spike situation going on right there, so it's a little hard to see what's going on with this particular velocity product, but we are looking at a real strong bow signature here. While on the north end of the bow signature is where we are seeing that eddy or that potential spin up. Could be a tornado going on right now, crossing Highway 97 and advancing towards Highway 29. Tornado warning is Escambia County and Santa Rosa County. And Jennifer, do we have any reports of damage or any confirmation of this tornado in Escambia and Santa Rosa counties right now?
We have no confirmations of any damage from this specific warned area for any of that possible rotation, but we are getting reports of multiple other hazards out there. I did give a report from mobile traffic talking about a trampoline and power lines at Haley's Way at Old Pascagoula Road. Many areas experiencing some of that coastal flooding, the roadway flooding, multiple trees down all across the Gulf Coast. So if you don't have to head out anytime soon, I would not. We're seing delays everywhere. many delays just due to the water on the roadways, the low visibility that we experienced earlier. I was talking about all of the trees down and the roadways earlier, so please just stay off the roads in case you don't have to head out anytime soon. Also, the causeway, just a reminder, is completely closed at this time, but no updates from the National Weather Service in regards to that area of rotation. They just said that it was tightening just a little bit. We'll go back to see if the velocity scan, it doesn't quite want to work right now, but it was tightening just a little bit closer towards the McDavid area. So as you look in just a little bit closer, beginning to push out of Escambia County, Florida, and pushing closer towards Santa Rosa County, Florida, as it approaches towards Bluff Springs there. So stay updated with us as we do get closer. Still monitoring this, approaching towards Century, Flomaton, and Jay as well. So going to be crossing back into Alabama, closer towards Escambia County, Alabama there. Still monitoring everything that we have going on. Haven't quite received many reports of hail. It seems that might be dropping off just a little bit, but do be careful out there. Make sure you have a way to get those warnings, and in case you're located closer towards Century, Flomaton, and Jay, make sure that you do know where your safe space is. And also the tornado watch, they've been talking about this just a little bit. They're going to begin shaving many counties out of this. They slowly started for our Mississippi counties. They said they're going to start for our inland areas as well. As the system continues to track further towards the east, you'll notice more and more areas that are beginning to be dropped out of it. So that's the good news. I've had a lot of questions about the timing of this system. It did speed up. It did move in quicker than anticipated. So that was the reason for some of these storms pushing in earlier than anticipated. But we typically see some of this. But at least when we're starting to see more of this rain push in later on this afternoon, we're expecting more of that. This leading line of storms is stabilizing the atmosphere once it pushes through. So although we are still monitoring the potential for a flood risk heading into the second half of today, just due to more of that rain continuing to fall on already saturated soil, just stay updated with us. Stay off the roadways if you don't have to be out there. Again, we had those trees down. We had multiple reports of power outages. I know that mine was flickering quite a bit in the Eastern Shore area. So stay updated with us, and we'll continue to monitor this tornado warning as it passes through Escambia County, Florida, Santa Rosa County, and up towards Escambia County, Alabama. But with that new update, they did move up that timing or the speed on it, 45 miles per hour, but still in effect until 1:30. So we just have about 7 more minutes to go.
Yeah, and looking at it on storm relative velocity, a pretty tight rotation area between McDavid and Century, and that's going to be located in the Canoe Creek Beach area. Canoe Creek comes out of Alabama and flows down to the south, and so this is going to be, before it gets into the Escambia River Delta. Also, Bluff Springs is also an area that may be impacted by this possible tornado. We've got the Bluff Springs area there. You see that popping up. Burnville Road, the Burnville community, Highway 4. This is going to be between Bratt and Century. You're also in a warning right now for a tornado that's going to be really close to the Burnville community. Possible tornado crossing Bratt Road and Cox Road. It is now, looks like, just past Pine Barren Road, so it's starting to make a little more progress as it moves to the east. Your rotation area right about here. It will end up between McDavid and Century on Highway 29. There's Bluff Springs right there. You've got the McDavid community just a little south of there. So possible tornado right in through here. Tracking this way. The warning stays in effect for another 6 minutes. And we have seen this rotation area maintaining itself across northern Escambia County. We have it tracking towards the Escambia River. You've got Canoe Creek right here. You got Canoe Creek Beach, which is about here, a little swimming hole there. And this is along Highway 29. There's the Bluff Springs area rotation right about there. If you're not getting this one spot that we have a concern with for a possible tornado, you are getting straight line wind that could be creating damaging straight line winds, and that extends all the way down Highway 29 and back into the north portion of Pensacola. This is a large thunderstorm complex that is advancing to the east. Here's McDavid, a rotation area right about here, and there is Bluff Springs, and then there is Century. And the thunderstorm winds are going to be along the leading edge of this thunderstorm all the way down to the south. There is a new volume scan that just came in there. Century, you are included in this tornado warning. warning. Your possible tornado now right on top of Bluff Springs, and then down Highway 29 into Pensacola. We have those gusty winds building in. There is a little bit better depiction of what's going on here. A bit broad with the rotation. You've got a wind maximum right there that is likely associated with straight line winds, and then you do have some rotation here on the north end of it, Burnville, Bluff Springs, and headed towards Century in northeast Escambia County, Florida. It's kind of a close call for Escambia County, Alabama. If this continues towards the northeast, it may end up on the south side of Flomaton, or a real close call for Flomaton and the Pollard community here too. So we expect this to continue to advance just to your south. And Jay, Florida, you are in line for this one, although this may pass a little north of Jay. If the tornado warning is continued, it would be tracking like this, just south of Highway 29 and towards Highway 89 once it crosses over into Santa Rosa County. So there's Jay right there, here's Century, and there's your possible tornado there. Now, straight line winds may extend on this line way to the south, all the way down into Pensacola, where we have this thunderstorm complex coming across the Gulf, and we are looking at it crossing Perdido Bay right now. Look at this right here in Lillian, another bow signature right there. You've got Grand Lagoon, 292, you've got West Pensacola, Pensacola NAS. We've got, this is a nasty thunderstorm right here. And this is the same thing that we saw coming through Jackson County and through Mobile County, crossing now most of Baldwin County, and the gusty winds are just about out of Baldwin County and moving into Escambia County, Florida. You've got the Pensacola metro area right here, and this is this dark cloud, likely producing a bit of a shelf cloud type feature as it tracks across the northern end of Perdido Bay. This is Perdido Bay right here. And so you have the Perdido River coming into the north part of the bay, and there it is. There's Ramsey Beach, and then you get into a highly populated area, West Pensacola, Bellevue, also Highway 173, Highway 98. This is that strong line of winds that's coming through right now, moving out of Alabama and into Florida. It's crossing Highway 98, and you can see that strong, that sharp line right through there. There is heavy rain with this. There's a lot of lightning associated with this. We're going to see potential damaging winds all along this line. We're going to stay under a severe thunderstorm warning most likely for this area as it comes through. And there's a look at the leading edge of the gusty winds on our velocity product here from Molino all the way to the south down to Seminole, and then further along down towards Perdido Key and Innerarity Point, and moving across over towards Grand Lagoon and 292. So active weather day for us. We've been dealing with it in Mobile County. Now we're dealing with it across the Panhandle. Baldwin County, I know it's raining heavily in Gulf Shores right now, but the gusty winds are really more getting over onto the Florida side of things now. So here's Pensacola. Here are the gusty winds out ahead of it, and then there is our tornado warning. And of course, all along this red line right here, we're under a severe thunderstorm warning. We expect this severe thunderstorm complex to continue to quickly zip across Santa Rosa County and over into Okaloosa County. It should be by about 4 o'clock, possibly even out of our forecast area and into Walton County. And then the atmosphere behind it has been worked over considerably. So mainly just embedded showers and thunderstorms is not good from a flooding perspective to have more rain to come, but we do look at a more of a calmer situation as far as actual severe weather behind this line. So there's the nasty part, and then here's the more tolerable part of the line over Mobile County, up into Washington County, up into Clark County. And if you're inland today, so far, the worst of the weather has been closer to the coast. Sometimes it's the opposite, but the kind of setup we have today actually will produce the possibility of severe weather, mainly on the coastal sections of the forecast area. Still under a tornado warning for about another minute here in Jay, Florida, and in the areas here for Santa Rosa County and also for Escambia County, and that warning just dropped right there. So Jen, looks like they are not going to continue the warning across northern Escambia County and into Santa Rosa County.
That's exactly right. And I want to go ahead and update too that they did actually shave out Washington, Clark, Monroe counties for our area. I believe that Mobile County was also taken out of this tornado watch. So now it's just Mobile Bay, Baldwin County, really on the eastern side there of our viewing area. Escambia County and also Conecuh County still included in this, in Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. So you have been dropped from that tornado watch in George and Greene County, Mississippi, Mobile County, Washington County, Clark County, and Monroe counties. That's the good news. The tornado watch has been dropped, but heading into the rest of this afternoon and this evening, we still have the potential for more of that rain. So that flooding concern is still a possibility heading into today. We're still getting closer towards that high tide for many areas across our coastal waters. And so we'll likely see some of that continuing, just more of that coastal area, seeing more of those flood waters. But then we'll introduce more of those northerly winds. We'll start to get closer towards low tide, and some of this will continue to drop down heading later on into the rest of today. But do be cautious out on the roadways, especially with trees that are still down. We're about to have multiple power crews out there attempting to restore power towards areas that have lost it with more of these storms that push through, and also the flood waters out there. The causeway is still closed at this time in case you're heading out anytime soon, but just stay at home. There's no need to be on the roads. If you have to go out, then that's okay. Just make sure you're taking it easy. Make sure your headlights are on so that you're visible to other drivers. Take it slow, and also just don't drive through those floodwaters. Remember, turn around, don't drown if you can't see anything out there. We'll take another look at the radar at this time. So Mobile, Baldwin counties still just starting to see some of that light, steady rain beginning to fall at this time. Our inland areas, Washington, Clark, Monroe, Conecuh counties, you've mainly just been seeing some of the steady rainfall for this afternoon. Just some of the thunder and lightning also beginning to drop off in that area. I'll turn back on that lightning look there. I've been monitoring some of the comments here. Yeah, so still pretty active with a lot of that thunder and lightning, especially as it gets closer towards Conecuh County, Escambia County, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle as it's pushing through Pensacola. Gusty straight line winds possible along some of this. We'll continue just to keep an eye on if any of those tornado warnings continue to be issued. But downtown Pensacola, Gulf breeze, you're starting to see more of these heavy showers and downpours, the active thunder and lightning beginning to move your way. Haven't quite seen any of those updates on social media from additional damage reports, but we're still receiving a lot of those. I did just see that there was storm debris on US 45 at mile point 16.99 at Alabama 158, so in Mobile County, and that road is completely closed. So just in case you're heading out anytime soon, again, where that is located is going to be right at US 45, where that's closed. Just closer towards St. Stephen's Road and Silver Creek there in Paperwood Road. So the road completely closed due to some of that storm debris that's out there. And be cautious if you do see any of those trees in the roadway. Still just monitoring. Again, this tornado warning has been dropped off, so we're not under any tornado warnings at this time. Mainly just tracking some of those gusty straight line winds as they continue to push through Escambia County, Florida, and also Santa Rosa County, Florida.
And our main concern right now in Escambia County would be this thunderstorm complex that's coming through a very highly populated area. Without a doubt, Pensacola. So from the 3 Mile Bridge area, Gulf breeze, across the 3 Mile Bridge into downtown Pensacola, and then back up through and into the northern part of the town. We just saw a tornado warning issued here. So this is serious now. We've got a tornado warning up for Escambia County, and this is going to stay in effect at least through 2 o'clock this afternoon for a tornado warning right in the core of Pensacola. So if you're just joining us, tornado warning Escambia, Santa Rosa counties. Your phone's probably going off right now in Escambia County, and we're along Interstate 10 with the core of the heaviest weather that's coming through, and this is likely associated with the same feature that Jennifer and I were monitoring that was coming across Perdido Bay. There it is right there. There is a little notch in this line right here. So that's going to put a tornado possibly just north of Bellevue between there and I-10, and we have it crossing I-10, basically running right down I-10 and through Ferry Pass. If you're down in downtown Pensacola, it looks like this warned area may be just a little north of you. The polygon setting up the rotation area there. So I would be most concerned with generally the middle third of the polygon, at least initially. After that, you know, these things can be right movers. They can veer a little bit, or they can head back off towards the northeast as the polygon is indicating. But we do have a tornado warning right now, and so our warned area right here, there is Longleaf Drive. Here is Pine Forest Road, 297. And we've got it crossing near Softly Field and Bellevue and tracking towards the east-northeast here, moving towards Brent and Ferry Pass. And so here's the Inslee community right here. It's going to be a close call for you. We got Highway 29 right there. There is Brent right there. So Brent, you are in line for this possible area of rotation. And Ferry Pass right here along Interstate 10 and along Highway 291. Rotation area there. Tornado warning right now for Metro Pensacola, the north side of Pensacola along I-110 and I-10 and Highway 29 and also Highway 90. So if you see your street popping up, you know this thing is possibly something that you're going to have to deal with. Longleaf Drive area is closest to this thing. One more volume stand and this image is going to be about right here. So we get these volume scans every couple of minutes. And there is the warned area. Remember, it's moving off towards the northeast at about 50. So if you're sitting in Ferry Pass and you say, oh, okay, well, this thing's back over towards Bellevue. Well, I would say in about 5 minutes it's going to be at Ferry Pass. It is a very, very fast moving area of rotation. And this is tracking towards, it may be a little north of Garcon Point proper, most likely up around the 281, 191 interchange on I-10. Milton, we're going to have to keep an eye on this as it crosses the northern portion of Escambia Bay and gets over towards the northern portion of East Bay and Pensacola Bay and gets up here along Highway I-10 and Highway 281 and also Highway 98. So active weather going on across Pensacola right now, and a possible tornado in the Bellevue area. This is heading along Marcus Point Boulevard, East Shore Drive, Airport Boulevard. You've got Pensacola Airport about right here. You have to watch out for that as well. Inslee, you're also included in this, a potentially dangerous situation. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado, but it is moving through Pensacola right now, Jennifer, and definitely something we're going to have to watch out for quite a bit here in the Pensacola area this afternoon.
That storm and the tornado warnings, we're still tracking some of those gusty straight line winds that are tracking through downtown Pensacola, North Pensacola, West Pensacola. So even if you're in the Pensacola area, you're still going to be seeing some of these gusty straight line winds. In case you're vacationing with us and you're located closer towards Pensacola Beach, this is also heading your way. These winds going to be a concern. If you have a moment, just make sure that you're bringing all of the stuff on the patio outside, inside real quick, especially if you're at any of those condos. You still have just a little bit longer that these gusty straight line winds passing through are also going to be a main concern regardless of that area of rotation. But at this time, it is not a confirmed tornado. I want to go ahead and stress that to all of our viewers that are watching out there, especially some of the commenters there. There is no active tornado on the ground. This is only some of that rotation. It's radar indicated, and so it could be dipping down as it tracks through Pensacola. So it's best just to make sure that you're being careful. Go ahead and get into your safe space. We're continuing to monitor what's being said through National Weather Service, plus also any reports down on the ground from anyone out there. We've received reports of hail earlier, the gusty winds knocking out the power. It's been knocking out just the trees out there. And then also we just got that brand new scan. As you can see, it's just messing up a little bit, but still starting to see some of that circulation tightening even further just on the west side there of Ferry Pass, so crossing through Inslee. Looking in just a little bit closer towards that street level, really Johnson Avenue, Harbor Square Drive, Dunmire Street, you're seeing some of this just closer towards I-10, really on the north side there as you're crossing into town. And soon going to be passing over into Avalon Beach and also Pace, Florida. So if you're in Pace, Avalon Beach, just make sure that you are also staying updated with the forecast. Go ahead and get into your safe space. Just a reminder, that's going to be the lower level of your home. Interior, make sure that none of those walls are touching the outside, and also no windows at this time. Still just monitoring some of those comments on our Fox 10 Facebook page, and just seeing a lot of folks reporting about how windy and breezy and loud it is with this system beginning to push through Pensacola at this time.
Yeah, in Inslee right now, I can show you exactly where this rotation area is. It's right here on the north side of I-10, and it's right in the core of Inslee. I just checked our correlation coefficient. It did not see a debris signature, but there is a tighter rotation area going on within this tornado warning. It is going to move very close to Ferry Pass, if if not just a little on the north side of Ferry Pass, and continue tracking towards the northern sections of Escambia Bay, where the Escambia River dumps into Escambia Bay along Highway 90 north of I-10. So you've got Highway 90 between Pace and Ferry Pass right there, and your possible tornado looks like it's going to be moving over that area. Terrible time to be traveling between Pace and Ferry Pass. If you're in Pace right now and you're thinking, I need to head on down to Ferry Pass, why don't you give it a little time, let this thing come on through, and there will be better weather behind it. But right now we are under a tornado warning for Pensacola, for the Escambia Bay area, Ferry Pass and Inslee, tracking right here across I-10. We're also seeing a tremendous winds that are associated with this thunderstorm complex. Forward speed 45 miles an hour, moving generally eastward or a little east-northeast. And so looking at the timing on this, we would have it just north of Avalon Beach around 1:53. We've got it potentially in the Milton area by 2 o'clock. So 29 minutes, and we're going to see this up here near Milton. Then we get it into Floridale, as well as Broxton, Galver, and then Crestview possibly about an hour from now if the rotation holds together. And definitely going to get a strong thunderstorm about that time. Probably by about 4 o'clock, this thing's going to be out of our forecast area, if not a little sooner. But right now there is a tornado warned area here in the core of Pensacola, right near on the north side of town, and some of the areas right there. It is right there. You can see it in the Inslee area now, clearing Highway 29 and tracking towards Ferry Pass. There is Johnson Avenue there. Here is Highway 90 here. Here is Highway 29, and your possible tornado right there, traveling towards the east or a little north of due east at 45 miles an hour. A lot of neighborhoods here that could be possibly impacted by a tornado as this moves from the west to the east across the area. And I'm going to take a look at some of the streets here, because we are looking at a tornado warning right now for the area that is currently going on in Escambia and Santa Rosa counties. And they're very concerned about this, where we're zoomed in here in the Olive area. Right there where Jen has it pulled up on our storm tracker here. We've got possible tornado here. I can see a real slowdown in travel too along Interstate 10, and rightfully so, along Johnson Avenue, Airway Drive, Chisholm Road, Cody Lane, Jernigan Road. Alternate 90 is also going to be impacted by this, as well as 291. And so we are looking at that going on with the thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning in our area. So mentioned some of these roads right through there. This is alternate 90 right there. Here is 291. You can see some of these roads right there. There's Chisholm Road right there. There is Airway Drive. Those are some of the ones I just called out. And this is moving at about 45 miles an hour. So it's going to continue to move just north or very close to Ferry Pass and moving along Highway 90 here. And this is not, we had a really bad tornado here about 7 or 8 years ago that went really close to this same area. Hopefully this one's not on the ground here. Of course, it is Doppler radar indicated, but it has not been confirmed. But we do see that bend in the line there. And if you're south of this, if you're south of Ferry Pass and you're down along I-110, this is going to be most likely thunderstorm winds, but I don't want to just minimize what's happening there with the potential thunderstorm winds, because this has been screaming through Mobile County and Baldwin County and Escambia County with these winds, and the winds easily up around 60 to 70 miles an hour along this line here. The warning that was in effect earlier for Jay is no longer in effect, but we've got a new tornado warning for now getting into the central and southern sections of Escambia and Santa Rosa counties, and that's for a possible tornado located right here along 291, Ferry Pass and Inslee, advancing to the east at about 45 miles an hour. And we just got an update on the tornado warning. So the storm polygon has been expanded. It does include Milton, it does include Pace, but it also includes areas here up along 184. Really 191 north of Garcon Point also included in this right here. Just generally anywhere I-10 Escambia, Santa Rosa counties near the Santa Rosa County line and crossing the Pensacola Bay Bridge, you're going to be under a tornado warning, and that's going to stay in effect through 2 o'clock this afternoon. The current time is 1:45, so we do expect that this is going to continue to stay in effect until about 2 o'clock this afternoon and may be expanded beyond that as this rotation area moves on off to the east. Multifaceted weather system here. Flooding rain. We've got flash flood warnings as a result of the heavy downpours. Gusty winds. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings all across the Florida Panhandle right now. We also have a potentially embedded tornado within this thunderstorm complex, and that is why we are under a tornado warning right now in Escambia County. This is getting real close to the Santa Rosa County line here. Our possible tornado now going to be on the edge of Escambia Bay, and looks like this is alternate 90 here, and then this is I-10 moving into Avalon Beach, and your rotation area should be right over the northern edge of Escambia Bay now. So if you are in Inslee or you're in Ferry Pass, it looks like this is getting past you. There's Ferry Pass there now. I know the rain is coming down heavily and we got a lot of wind right now, but the leading edge is where that possible tornado would be, and that's going to be putting it now over Escambia Bay. And what's next? What are some of the communities that could be impacted next? Well, Milton definitely, and then on the south side of Milton, also the Pace area, especially south of Pace, down along I-10, possibly could be impacted by what is right now a Doppler radar indicated tornado moving through and across Escambia Bay. Within this, a lot of lightning, super heavy rain, and the potential for some flash flooding. And this thunderstorm complex, the worst of it is from about right here in Jay all the way down out into the Gulf of Mexico. Once you get this thing through the area, you're going to see better weather. It's not great, but it is better. We have light to moderate rainfall going on with a much more stable atmosphere in Greene, George, Jackson, Mobile, now Baldwin County starting to calm down quite a bit. Washington, Clark, Monroe County, you're calming down. A lot of these areas, we've seen the tornado watch actually drop for these areas because most of the rotation and the potential and the instability is the highest ahead of the line. Once the initial surge of wind and rain moves through, then the weather will calm down, and it may stay calm the rest of the day. The atmosphere has been really worked over here. We do remain under a flash flood warning for parts of Mobile County. Often the flash flood warnings are issued for hours at a time, but the rainfall rate is more promising here. We have had some rumbles, some embedded lightning and thunder over Mobile Bay. We're getting a much higher concentration of lightning along the severe thunderstorm warned portion of the storm coming through Pensacola right now, and where we have that tornado warning. And we are getting indication from the National Weather Service that the circulation that was a little tighter over Ferry Pass and Inslee is more broad in nature as it's working its way across Escambia Bay. The areas that are still included in the tornado warning: Pace, Highway 90, Milton, and I-10. The south portion of this, you get down around Garcon Point. We're really not seeing anything super alarming here other than the fact that we're going to have to deal without a doubt with some of these thunderstorm winds as they come across out of downtown Pensacola, where the gust front is hitting right now, and then moving out over the bay and affecting Garcon Point here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So very, very active weather here as this moves across. So right now, the current time, 1:48 p.m. And we are going to stay under a severe thunderstorm warning for Escambia County until 2:30. A lot of the counties have been dropped off of the tornado watches here, and we remain under a tornado warning right now for Escambia and Santa Rosa counties, and this is going to be primarily in Santa Rosa County now for an area of rotation that's pretty broad in nature around Pace and Milton, crossing the Escambia Bay and moving into and along I-10. Another element to this, obviously not a good beach day today, and we have a very, very high danger of rip currents, where it's really going to be a potential problem. There's not a lot of folks that would be tempted to swim in weather this bad, but tomorrow when we get the sun out, we're still going to see the potential of rip currents ongoing, and that could even continue as we head into Friday. So dangerous surf for spring breakers down at the beaches, and you see this is what's creating the higher tides. It's that onshore flow. High tide around 1:30 this afternoon. It will gradually recede. It may even be amplified by the wind, and we do have some coastal flooding happening in our area. Your tornado warning still in effect right now for Pace and for the Milton area. And again, no sign of this circulation showing an imminent tornado threat right now. It does look like some broad rotation. You're in a portion of the severe thunderstorm where we could see a tornado spin up. So far, so good. We've had no confirmed tornadoes so far, but a lot of wind damage in our area, and that is ongoing in the heart of Pensacola right now and crossing the bay and getting in around Garcon Point and moving over into Santa Rosa County. So active weather for the Panhandle here this afternoon and this evening, Jennifer, and this is affecting travel too, and rightfully so. A lot of cars having to take it slow on I-10 in Escambia and Santa Rosa counties.
That's exactly right. I've been trying to monitor some of those traffic conditions. I was going to go ahead and pull up our traffic tracking map in addition to everything. So really starting to see some of those heavy delays beginning to build closer towards downtown Mobile, the Bayway, the Causeway, really beginning to notice some of those. And just a reminder that the Causeway is still closed at this time. So that's what's leading to many of these delays building on the Bayway. It says green right there, but again, it's closed, so it can't quite pick up that there's no traffic out there. And so that's why it shows things are moving smoothly. So if you're heading out anytime soon, you know someone that is, tell them to go ahead and take the Bayway. And that's due to those floodwaters that we saw earlier. The strong southerly winds and mixture with high tide is what led to those deteriorating conditions on the Causeway. It was just a mixture of the perfect timing for the system to push through with those southerly winds and the high tide. That's what led to that closure. Still receiving many reports of trees down across the Gulf Coast, but they're quickly trying to remove some of those. This one was going to be an accident just closer towards I-10 and Range Line. That was right closer towards the I-10 eastbound to Alabama 193 southbound lane that was blocked due to an accident there. I did just receive a report that we just had a push alert from our Fox 10 News app saying that US 45 has reopened in Mobile County after they did clear that down tree. So if you need to keep updated with any of those alerts for your traffic conditions, you can download the Fox 10 News app. We'll continue to keep you updated there as more of this debris continues to be cleared. Main thing to keep in mind right now is that the Causeway is closed. Heavy delays on the Bayway at this time, beginning to see additional delays in Baldwin County. And then as we do take a look closer towards Pensacola, where more of these strong storms are beginning to push through, really as you approach closer towards Avalon Beach on I-10 and you cross over that Escambia Bay Bridge, you'll notice more of those heavy delays building, that orange color there even turning red toward the center. And we'll check on this one to see if this is an accident, and there is an obstruction. Likely that's going to be some more of that debris in the roadway that's blocking I-10 westbound right at exit 22 and Avalon Boulevard. Please drive carefully out there. Make sure that your headlights are on so that way you're visible to other drivers. Also beginning to see more delays just closer towards Gulf Breeze, where more of these heavy storms are pushing through. Best just not to be on the roadways at this time if you haven't quite seen some of these strong storms push in, because your visibility will drop down. It's still going to be containing some of those gusty winds out there, and so the conditions will only begin to deteriorate with your visibility on the roads, especially with some of that possible flooding and really closer towards our coastal areas. But in case you're just now joining us, we do have that active tornado warning that is included for Escambia and Santa Rosa counties in Florida. So again, this is going to be Escambia County in Florida there that is included in that. It's going to be closer towards Milton, Avalon Beach, and the Pace area, extending down closer towards Garcon Point, Ferry Pass, still included in this, but really that rotation has moved past you. I've been receiving some questions about Baldwin County, Mobile County. We're still going to be seeing more of that rain heading into the rest of today. The flooding concern will be the biggest thing to keep an eye on heading into this afternoon, as the rain will still continue on already saturated soil. But Mobile County, you have been dropped from that tornado watch that was issued earlier today. Washington County, Clark County, Monroe County, and then also our Mississippi counties, Georgia and Greene counties, you've also been dropped from that tornado watch. If you see closer towards Jackson County and southern Mississippi, that's going to be a different National Weather Service office that hasn't dropped off that tornado watch. So that's the only reason why that's still in effect. I can even see when they'll likely just let that expire rather than drop it off. Yeah, it goes until 4 o'clock. So it'll likely be 4 o'clock that we see that dropped off. But east side of Mobile Bay, you're still included in this tornado watch. West side, pretty much no longer included in that tornado watch. Again, it's a different National Weather Service office. They tend to just let those expire rather than dropping them off. But ours here locally has dropped off Mobile County, Washington, Clark, Monroe County, and our Mississippi counties.
And you witnessed it if you were watching the Pensacola beach camera. We were able to see the Gulf and see the water tower, and it just got really dark. And now we can't see anything at all. And the reflectivity rate is pretty much off the charts here. See how dark it is right here on radar, and then you can see the ground truth report, the live picture right there. And so this heavy thunderstorm, we're in a severe thunderstorm warning for this area, by the way, too. We are looking at, did we just get an expiration of the tornado warning here, Jennifer?
Yes,
so
yeah, it looks like they just dropped off the tornado warning for Escambia and Santa Rosa counties. So again, our National Weather Service office, they are expiring that tornado warning. And I did just want to mention something else really quickly too. I'm receiving a lot of reports on our Fox 10 Facebook Live about the wind gusts behind the front. Is that a lot of folks still in Mobile and Baldwin counties are talking about how windy it is out there right now.
Likely a wake low situation going on in Mobile County. So in the wake of the meso low that's created this big complex of showers and storms, we may have some gusty winds that will continue here. Very common to see that kind of a setup in Mobile County. So the leading edge right now, this warning has been allowed to expire for Santa Rosa County. We are no longer under an active tornado warning in our area. We have a large severe thunderstorm warning from Jay to Milton into Pensacola, but more so Gulf breeze in Pensacola Beach. I mean, you can't even hardly see the water tower now on that picture. It just sheets of rain going on down along the Gulf beaches. Now what's going to happen is this line of severe thunderstorms, and they are severe thunderstorms, though we do have warnings up for them right now, this line is going to continue moving basically straight to the east. So from the Flomaton area, Bruton, southward, all the way to the Gulf, all the way down across Santa Rosa County along this red line, all of this is going towards Crestview, towards Fort Walton Beach, and towards Destin. It is currently in the center of Santa Rosa County where we have the severe thunderstorm warning. Now in Pensacola, what can you expect? Well, you've seen the worst of it. The worst of it is now over in the Gulf breeze in Navarre. And it was moving to the east at about 45 miles an hour. So we've got it in the Navarre area by 206, Parker Springs by 217, so almost into Navarre now. You can see this is bearing down on Navarre. There's the line and there's Navarre. We've got it over to Fort Walton Beach by 236, so by really in about 30 minutes this should be in Fort Walton Beach. The Destin area before 3 o'clock, and then after 3, it's very possible that the severe threat is going to be through and across Okaloosa County and out of the area. So now we're seeing just embedded rain. We have those gusty winds in the wake of that gust front, in the wake of that low, that thunderstorm complex, and we're getting we just had a wind gust of 39 miles an hour at Mobile Regional Airport. That is a tropical storm force. Pensacola, associated with the severe thunderstorm that just rolled through, we had a gust of 48 miles an hour. Well ahead of this in Destin, we've got a wind right now gusting to 45 miles an hour. And you can see the difference, the inland areas versus the coast. Most of the heavy winds are going to be along I-10 and southward, and some of the easier winds are going to be across the inland portions of the forecast area where we just aren't seeing that severe threat materializing. And if you're just joining us, the severe threat is low here for the rest of the day over the western side of the area. Still extraordinarily high in the short term across the Florida Panhandle. But once this line moves through, this may be it for the day. We are looking at embedded moderate to heavy rain, lightning, gusty winds behind it. Right now there are severe thunderstorm warnings up for Escambia County, the Bruton area down to Milton and Santa Rosa County, and all the way down to Navarre and then Fort Walton Beach. Let's just scan along this line a little bit here. You can see a little better in Fort Walton and Pensacola Beach now also. With that live picture right over there, you can see that we're starting to get a little bit of daylight, so not quite as ominous as it looked earlier. This is the line right here that just came through Pensacola Beach. This is the Navarre area back over here. There's Navarre right there. And then here's Gulf Breeze. And so the core of the heaviest rain is right there where Garcon Point Road, 191 and the Garcon Point Bridge intersect with Highway 98. Terrible right now for travel. And this is going to extend up here in Milton. And now it's improved in pace, but Milton, you're getting the core of the heavy rain now. Allentown, you're getting the core of the heavy rain, and the gusty winds may be along or even ahead of it with this band here. There's the Munson area, and we do see the potential for some gusty winds up your way. A lot of recent lightning strikes now along I-10 and Highway 90. As this is moving along. And then to the north, once you get up here on the upper end of it, up here around Bruton, not as severe, not as intense, definitely heavy rain going on now, and it's already starting to look better in Atmore, in Monroe County, in Tensas, Mount Vernon, and Mobile, and Daphne, and Saraland, Mile of Battery, Lucedale, Hurley, everything's starting to look a whole lot better here. We're still looking at minor coastal flooding. It'll take a while for the tide to go down. Most likely that's going to start happening around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. And we are also looking at the potential of tornadoes in our area, but primarily it's going to be from Santa Rosa County on to the east over into Okaloosa County. So the tornado watch has been dropped for Monroe County, for Clark County, for Washington County, for Mobile County, George and Greene counties. You're no longer under a tornado watch. Jackson County is still holding on to it, but the threat is over. And the maroon area right here, these are flash flood warnings from some of that real intense heavy rain we saw earlier, and still rain ongoing. Then we have the orange box right here. That is a big severe thunderstorm warning that's currently located from just about the Bruton area southward all the way down to the beaches of the Panhandle, and that will be moving across Santa Rosa and into Okaloosa counties. And those warnings are going to continue for quite a while longer, at least through 2:30 or 2:45 this afternoon with this warning here. Current time right at 2 o'clock straight up right now, and there it is. Just got an update. So the severe thunderstorm warning has now been dropped for Pensacola, and there are no active tornado warnings right now. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Crestview and down here in South Okaloosa County and also around Milton. And then the east side of Escambia Bay also looking at currently a severe thunderstorm warning. Navarre getting the rough weather right now, and this will continue to work over across Santa Rosa County and into Okaloosa County. Very unusual level 4 moderate risk for severe weather today. Unfortunately, this is played out and has verified mainly as a severe thunderstorm type event with gusty winds and trees down and some power outages being reported in our area. And here's a look at it right now. We've got a strong to severe thunderstorm from Bruton to Milton and down to Navarre, and it's heading to Fort Walton Beach, into Crestview, Valparaiso, Niceville, and up into Bradley in Escambia County as it moves on off towards the east. So that's a look at where we're seeing the rough weather. Pensacola Beach, looks like the heaviest of the rain just went through Pensacola Beach. Obviously, it's still coming down really hard right now, but that has the potential to continue, and a forward speed of about 45 miles an hour as this thing moves to the east. Very, very active. Now real close to Navarre. I'd say about another 5 minutes, and it should be moving through your area. Milton and Baghdad getting the heavy rain now, and it's going to head out towards Holt as it moves along I-10 and tracks into Okaloosa County. So we have the possibility of severe weather headed your way. Active weather here across now the Florida Panhandle, the Herald area. You're ahead of this. Holly and Navarre right now. Windhaven Beach. There's already terrible traffic because it's spring break along Highway 98 right in through here. So the traffic right now, a lot of red on the board, which is a common issue along Highway 98 during this travel season in the summertime and also around spring break between Fort Walton Beach and Navarre. Could be everybody getting off the beach and getting on the roads, but then you're about to add another element into the equation. That would be some very heavy rain. We also could see some flooding concerns as this comes through. There's that heavy rain now bearing in on Navarre. So looking at the situation there, here's 87 going down through Holly and Navarre from Milton and Pace, and you're along the leading edge of this severe thunderstorm as it's moving across Santa Rosa County. So active weather across the Gulf Coast this afternoon. We've been looking at tornado warnings. We've had severe thunderstorm warnings. We've had major metro areas impacted. We've had inland areas impacted, but certainly the coastal areas. And look at Fort Walton Beach right now, Jennifer.
At Fort Walton Beach, just ahead of this line of storms, again mainly just tracking some of those pushing through Navarre at this time. And in regards to the rip current risk, in case you're visiting us here on the Gulf Coast, they were high yesterday. They closed the Gulf waters due to those strong southerly winds. Gulf waters still closed for today, and unfortunately still expecting those rip current risks to stay high heading into tomorrow. I mean, rough surf out there. That is dangerous, life-threatening surf that we're seeing. It's going to continue to stay strong for our local water tomorrow, and then by Friday we start to see some of those slow improvements, and then by the weekend the beach conditions are going to be looking so much better. So we're mainly just tracking that rain for today, and then we'll start to see improvements tomorrow. Sunshine returns for your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Temperatures, they're going to be in the 70s. So in case you're visiting us, in case you're local and you have weekend plans, things are looking better in really the long range. We just got to get through the short range. Just got to get through today. And by this evening, heading into the overnight hours, we'll really start to see more of this rain beginning to move out. I'll have another look at your futurecast here, just tracking what things are looking like. But I do want to remind folks that that tornado threat is dropping. If you're still closer towards Santa Rosa, Okaloosa County in Florida, and you haven't quite seen some of these thunderstorms, your threat continues with the tornado potential. But elsewhere on the back side of this, if you've already seen the gusty winds, the main line move through, you're just watching for the gusty winds that are behind this. Winds are still pretty breezy out there, plus mixed with the saturated soil that we've seen. So it's not much that are holding some of the roots down for some of these trees. So be cautious of that. Still monitoring power outages out there, and then we'll still start to see some of this steady rainfall heading into this afternoon and this evening. So the flood threat is also there until we start to introduce more of these northerly winds and things calm down heading into the overnight hours. But here's a look at your updated futurecast. It's behind just a little bit because it shows, if you look closer towards Pensacola and Escambia County, Florida, it hasn't quite moved through just yet. So don't hone in too much on the timing there. You can start to see it's still a little delayed. But as we make our way closer towards 3 o'clock, this leading line of storms begins to push further towards the east, but still expecting more of that rainfall closer towards 4 or 5 o'clock. So if you're still at work, if your significant other is, then you'll likely just have to wait it out. Be cautious of the roadways by that point, as some heavier downpours are still possible out there. And then we introduce 5:30, 6 o'clock. Major improvements. Washington County, our Mississippi counties, Mobile County beginning to turn a bit more quiet by that point. Still some isolated showers possible, but something that the Futurecast has been leaning towards is the Panhandle still getting more of this steady stream of moisture heading into this evening. So we see by 8 o'clock more of the heavy downpours push into Escambia County, Florida, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and it only continues closer towards 9, 10, finally clearing out by 11 p.m. So the rain rates, they've been high out there. Do be cautious if you live on the Florida Panhandle that you could see additional heavy rain showers heading further on into the rest of this evening. I'll go ahead and go back to our alerts map in case you're just now joining us here on Fox 10. Just a reminder that the tornado watch has been dropped. There you go. That's good to see that Slidell has also dropped off their tornado watch. I will say that they were much more active earlier today. Confirmed tornadoes on the ground. We'll have additional updates with that coming up on Fox 10 News at 3 and 4 o'clock. We've been receiving multiple damage reports from there of those confirmed tornadoes that touched down earlier, closer towards New Orleans and Slidell, Louisiana, but that tornado watch only in effect for Baldwin County and heading further east. But even then, we'll likely continue to see more of this begin to be dropped off as that line of storms only pushes closer towards Destin, Florida.
We're using our live cameras here. You can see the Fort Walton Beach area right now anticipating a bad storm, which is currently near Navarre and getting much closer quickly to Fort Walton Beach. And we've been keeping a close eye on this as it's moved through the entire forecast area from west to east this afternoon here on Fox 10 News. Earlier you had team coverage with meteorologist Michael White and Jennifer Lambers. Now you've got me and Jennifer, and here's what we're seeing right there in Navarre. This is the onset of the real heavy rain and wind. It has now cleared Pensacola. It is on the east side of Escambia Bay. Holly and Navarre getting the brunt of the storm now, and moving along and across Santa Rosa Sound. So we've got our live picture here. It looks like the conditions are okay right now. Obviously the surf conditions are horrible right now off of Fort Walton Beach, and so that live camera right here along the Gulf portion of Fort Walton Beach, and we are looking at about a 20-mile stretch of Highway 98 still in our forecast area that's going to have to contend with this severe thunderstorm. Right now, severe thunderstorm warning is currently in effect for Navarre, and this stretches all the way up to near Milton. It's tracking along I-10. We are looking at severe thunderstorms heading into Crestview also as this moves to the east, but right now there are no active tornado warnings in our area, which is good news. This is a thunderstorm threat, and that's really what we've seen all along with this severe weather setup. We've had a couple of warnings for tornadoes, but primarily thunderstorm winds, real gusty winds, higher than normal tides, and very, very heavy rain. Just got a new sweep of the radar, and now the leading edge of the rough stuff along the coastal sections of the Panhandle, right where 87 hits Highway 98. Further to the north, we are looking at heavier downpours getting into Crestview now, but the core of the heaviest of the stuff is still back here a little on the east side of Milton, and it's not far from the Okaloosa County line. So this is the Okaloosa County line here. This is Santa Rosa. Heavy downpours, gusty winds, a lot of lightning, treacherous for travel too as this is moving through. Now, looking at Pensacola, you're experiencing the very same thing that we saw in Mobile County and we saw in Baldwin County, and we're now seeing it in Pensacola. What's going on is that we're transitioning away from the severe weather threat and now just getting leftover embedded rain. Much better situation right now in the Pensacola area along I-110 and I-10. We did have an active tornado warning for you earlier, but that has been allowed to expire, and the rough weather is now pushing through the area. This is bowing out quite a bit. So the threat of severe thunderstorms with damaging winds is quite high. It is ongoing right now in Santa Rosa County. And then this black line right there, that is the border between Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County. So we're looking at this thunderstorm bearing down on the county line. And so here's Highway 87. You're in the core of the heaviest rain, the highest reflectivity rate right now on top of Navarre. You're getting the heavy rain, but the gusty winds are going to be from about here forward, right where you see the transition from the green to the yellow and the initial leading edge of the red. That's where we typically see the most intense winds. Wind gusts right now estimated around 60 miles per hour as a rule along this line. We have it getting into Crestview soon with the heavier wind, and definitely the rain is ongoing now. In the Crestview area, there is 85, which leads south of Crestview down into Niceville, and then you've got the Mid-Bay Bridge right there, and then from Niceville back around through the Valparaiso area, and then getting into Fort Walton Beach, we are looking at a storm headed your way. We've got it in right by 2:28, so that's going to be at the bottom of the hour. We do expect the core of this storm to be in Fort Walton Beach for us at 2:30. Should be around Destin by 2:45 or so, and by 3 o'clock it's going to be completely out of the forecast area. So we're still making progress with this line, and it won't be too much longer. It will be over into Walton County, but if you're in Okaloosa County, you've yet to really deal with this thing. Most of the weather's been a little to your west throughout the course of the day, the morning, and into the early afternoon, and now it's about to be your turn. Navarre Beach right now getting the worst of the storm. It's making progress along Highway 98. It's over Santa Rosa Sound, and there's Windhaven Beach right here. Here's Mary Esther, which is just on the west side of of Fort Walton Beach, and so we're looking at this storm that's just going to keep going along through the harbor area and through Windhaven Beach, and then tracking into Mary Esther right there, and then Fort Walton Beach. And this is all going to happen in about the next 30 minutes. I would say by 2:45 or so, the core of the wind will be rocking right through Fort Walton Beach and then out over the western edge of Chattahoochee Bay. You've got Eglin Village right here and up towards Eglin Air Force Base, and then Destin proper, as well as Niceville and the Valparaiso area too, could be hit hard by this severe thunderstorm as it moves across. There's the line right there. And on the northern edge of it, really from about I-10 southward, is likely going to be the worst of it. It's a little more embedded on the northern end, so you're getting the thunderstorms ahead of the actual squall line, which is still to the west now in Munson. And it's about to move over into Okaloosa County now. So this thing is now clearing out of Santa Rosa County. You just got to give it about another 15 minutes, and the worst of the weather will be out of Santa Rosa County and moving over into Okaloosa County. You see how things have really improved in Pensacola and Orange Beach and Gulf Shores and Foley and Fairhope and Daphne and Mobile and Saraland and Mount Vernon. Just light to moderate rain going on right now, and I think we can handle that in the wake of the storms. There may be some limbs and things to pick up, but we can always do that tomorrow. Leakesville, Loosedale, Hurley, Pascagoula, still some embedded showers, but nothing threatening as far as severe weather here. We're still technically under a flash flood warning for these areas that are highlighted in the purple, but keep in mind those flash flood warnings are often issued for a long period of time and can remain in effect for a couple of hours even after the main portion of the rain has moved through. But I do like the rainfall rates right now. They are much lower in these locations that are under the flash flood warning. So now we are looking at still a bow signature coming through Santa Rosa County. How much rain have we seen? Well, you can see why we're under flash flood warning. Some of these spots here over 4 inches of rain and getting up close to 5 inches of rain. There is 5.1 inches. This is going to be up Celeste Road. And so north of Saraland up Celeste Road and getting up towards Mount Vernon, and also in the Roberts Road area, Radcliffe Road. These are some of the areas that have been hit hard by heavy rain. There's Chunchula right there. And so these are areas where we may see some flooding ongoing here now as a result of the heavy rains. We've also seen heavy rain in Wilmer, and also back towards Agricola and into the Escatawpa drainage, and getting down into Jackson County. So a lot of those spots will stay under flash flood warning until the water starts to recede a little there. In Fort Walton Beach, still some gusty winds ongoing right now. It's really been churning the Gulf up. You can see the palm trees starting to shake quite a bit there. The worst of it is back to the west of here and closer to Windhaven Beach, but it is moving closer, and we're about to see the weather really go downhill with that live shot there in Fort Walton Beach. And the Gulf not pretty today. You can see a little bit of the green and the blue in the water, but it's kind of hard. Everything is really to see is really churned up there along the Gulf beaches, and I don't see anybody out on the beach, so that looks good there. Here is the Fort Walton Beach, our live camera right about there, and looking at it crossing Santa Rosa Sound. We can see the storm system now coming across Navarre. So we've seen very heavy rain. This is impacting travel. We also have some minor coastal flooding going on from the wind that's driving up the water. So if the wind blows out of the south for a long period of time and the surf is especially rough and we have a lot of swell, that raises the tide level. And the tide level really, you know, it's basically where is sea level and then how much higher above sea level is that coastal flooding ongoing. About 2 feet above normal with the tides today. So we've seen water level rises even up into the Mobile-Tensaw Delta and up into the Causeway, and we have some road closures as a result. Heavy rain and storms now moving into Okaloosa County. It looks like the leading edge of this is now through Santa Rosa County and getting into Okaloosa County. So from Navarre to Windhaven Beach and now getting closer to Mary Esther. We're seeing this bearing down on Fort Walton Beach. Here's Crestview right now, and we've seen a band of real heavy rain coming through. We are looking at the structure of this thunderstorm here, and you're up on the northern end of it. So we'll keep an eye out for any rotation that tries to form up there on the northern end. But right now we are not seeing any tornado warnings in our area, which is a good sign. And we do expect this severe thunderstorm to continue to march across Okaloosa County. The current warning is going to stay in effect through at least 2:30 p.m. I wouldn't be surprised to see this updated to be more focused primarily on Okaloosa County soon. And this has been a complex of storms. We've basically seen one big severe thunderstorm roll across the entire forecast area from the west to east. We have seen some of the inland spots that have dodged some of this, but the coastal sections have a little more instability today, a little bit more in the way of dynamics involved, and that's why we do have the potential of severe thunderstorms coming through. Santa Rosa and Okaloosa counties. I just saw that camera shaking a little bit there in Fort Walton Beach, an indication that the rough weather is getting closer to Fort Walton Beach. The tornado watch has been allowed to expire or has been dropped for Monroe, Clark, Washington, Mobile, Greene, George, and Jackson counties. There is currently a flash flood warning for Mobile, George, and Greene counties. We are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning right now getting over into Okaloosa County. So we've been keeping a close eye on this thing as it's moving through. If we see more tornado warnings, we're going to come right back on and give you an update on what we're expecting to see. If we do have warnings, we'll break into coverage, let you know what's happening there, show you exactly where the rough weather is. Right now, it is a severe thunderstorm situation. I would expect by about 3 o'clock this is going to be east of the area. We'll closely monitor it here from the Storm Tracker Center. I'm here alongside meteorologist Jennifer Lambers. Have a safe afternoon. We'll be back on if necessary, and join us for Fox 10 News at 3 p.m.